And a wonderful good evening to all of you. Welcome to SkyTour LiveStream here on June 6th. That's right, June 6th, 2020. Yeah, what a wonderful, wonderful day it's been. Lots of progress here at the FX front, trying to get things ready. I'm heading to Arizona in just a few more days, actually the 19th. I'll be in Boulder, Colorado for 2 of those days, and then after doing a couple shows there, I go to Arizona to build the Observatory. Yahoo! That is going to be fun. Yes, we will have a great time. I want to welcome Tara's in the house, Trish D, Tina Peterbaugh, and we have Bobby Burgess, and we have Cypher 2 and Amal, Justin T. Cypher 2 was number 1 tonight in the chat. And here's Troy Llewellyn. How's it going? And Monkey, what's going on? Whoop whoop. Tim F. Tim F, you're slipping, man. You're usually number 1, man. You're number 1 in the chat all the time. And now you're like 7th or 8th. What's going on, brother? I'm just kidding. It's good to see you here. And for those that I missed, I'm sorry, but I just reading the chat here. You know, I'm not going too far into it a little bit. Just checking it out. How are you guys? Anything going on that I should know about or that you want to share? We're looking at the star Spica right now, which is the brightest star in the constellation of Virgo. There it is right there. And Virgo, of course, is the Virgin. What's the Virgin look like? Well, this is what she looks like. Okay, this is Virgo the Virgin. And Virgo is also full of many, many galaxies, but unfortunately, with a bright moon, a lot of these galaxies are going to elude us today. We won't be able to look at those. However, we will be able to look at some very cool globular clusters, and we're going to check those out as well. It's so nice to have you guys with me tonight. I did a Houston Mutual UFO Network monthly meeting just about a couple hours ago, actually, and that was pretty good. Some really good questions. So, you know, I was talking about with them, oh, hey, what was that? Did you see that? Something just went through the view. Yes, that was a satellite. That's the second one. I had one go through while I was setting everything up. And then all of a sudden, I see this other one just now go through. It's like, wow, that was pretty crazy. Anyway, so yeah, I had a lot of good questions from this group. And while I was setting up tonight, we had another satellite go through, as I just said, so we'll keep an eye out. And look, I'm looking in white light right now, all right? So we're actually looking in the same light that you see with your eyes. That's how we're seeing everything right now. And that's pretty cool. So now we'll have the ability to check out things the way they naturally look. And that's for now. I mean, we're going to change because I can't stand it. Sit back and just look with my eyes. I gotta look with special filters, so that said, let's go see if we can check out a few things. But first, let's just go see what our status is of the night sky. Okay, here is where we are. We're up here in the sky. Where is that? Well, that's Virgo, as I said right now. That's Spica we're looking at there on the left side of the screen right here. Okay, right there. And then down below Spica is the horizon here. And coming up is Antares and the Scorpion, Scorpius the Scorpion. It's a wonderful summertime constellation full of all these wonderful clusters and things to see. And we will, of course, check them out if we can do that. The weather is so far cooperating, but I will say we had some really heavy thunderstorms earlier today, and so the rain was pretty intense. And so that means that we probably will get dew pretty early on in there. So it's pretty neat. But, we get at least this much time. Hey there, Marianne and Exie. How's it going? Nice to see you in the chat tonight. But I think while we're here, there is something way up there that we can look at. But I think think it might be a little tricky. We might be able to check it out. Let's go see if we can see it. Actually, you know what? We'll go to this guy. This one's nice. We're looking at a lot of clusters tonight because clusters are what we can really see well, even if the moon is out. So here we go. This is the Rose cluster, which is Messier 5, right? And it's a little bit east of Spica in the sky. And I don't think the dome is in the way for this one. I think I've got this one covered, but you never know. So over here, if you look right over here, you can see in this little window right there, you can see the telescope right there, and that's what you want to watch when I tell it to go. So here we go. All right, and there goes Spica, and there goes the telescope. See, and there's that magic sound. Gotta love the sound. Oh, it looks like the dome is in the way. Actually, might not be in the way. This is it's going to a star that it needs to look at to align itself. And it'll center that star, and then it's going to go from there exactly to where this cluster is that it knows. The centering and everything seems to be working well tonight. I've tested it a little while ago. Everything is good. And I'm working on making sure that all of this stuff works from long distance, so I don't go out to the dome. I work out ways to fix things as needed. So now we're coming back, and as you can see right here, you can see that there's a little bit of the dome's in the way, but I think we're okay, because if you look on the screen, you can see a faint little fuzzy right there, and that faint little fuzzy is Messier 5. See it right here, right there? Yeah, we're gonna take a look at that, and I think you'll like it. Whoops! Hey, you don't think you like that, but I will make sure that I don't scare you like that again. Okay, so where we are now is at Messier 5, and I'm going to lock off the scope for the moment, and we'll go to the different elements of the SkyTour LiveStream experience. One of them is this up here. This is for those that have joined us who haven't been here before. This is the telescope control cluster. This controls the telescope east, west, north, and south. This gives me access to the telescope computer, and this gives me access to the filter wheel that rolls different filters through the field of view. Okay, down below here is the Observatory live infrared cam. Down below this cursor, yeah, that's me. And then up here is the camera control cluster right here, and we control the camera with that and all the exposures that we do tonight. So it's pretty cool. Hey there, Papa Tom. James Dugan, how's it going down under? He's from Australia. He's a really cool guy. He's been with us for, gosh, James, you've been joining our stream. We've had to be here, what, almost 8 months, a year? Amazing. You know. So, yeah, and Marianne needs a stream tonight. A lot of people need a stream tonight. You know, so do I. I've been working in my shop, and it's pretty tiring overall. But you know what? Instead of tiring, let's do some magic here. Let's take up 1250 ISO. This is setting the speed of the camera here, and up here I will set the exposure, and I'll take us to, let's say, 10 seconds. I mean, why not? 10 seconds at 1250. It won't be perfect, but I want to see what we get, because we are doing white light, remember. White light means that we're seeing it as your eye would see it, which also means that any brightness of the sky, because the moon is coming up soon, oh, look at that, will be translated to our object. Look at this. Wow. That's beautiful. You know, and it's a little bit orange because of the fact that I have not given it quite enough exposure, and we're only, when it's dim, the sensor only sees some of the orange. But isn't that pretty? That's a beautiful globular cluster. Probably 30 to 40,000 stars all together, all gravitationally bound to each other. Maybe not these guys out here. These might be in the foreground and this more distant. But you can imagine it. It's pretty crazy when you're seeing that many stars in the sky. And using another tool called Space Engine, we've gone inside globular clusters and looked out from inside. And you have like stars spaced pretty regularly around you in these globular clusters, and it's pretty fascinating. Pretty fascinating. So really, how would you know you're in one of these clusters from inside? I don't think you'd know. I really don't think you'd know. So it's really interesting to me if there's a civilization that was in there. But you know what the truth is? These clusters probably don't have very many planets with inhabited worlds, because these stars are what we call metal poor. That means they don't have a lot of elements other than hydrogen and helium. And hydrogen and helium is the set of elements that was around during the Big Bang. And these stars are among the oldest stars in the universe. When we look at these in globular clusters, it's really something, and if you think about it, oh man, it's amazing. Hello, Mrs. Mercer. How are you? It's nice to see you. I don't think you've been here before. If you have, I may have missed it. But hey, it's good to see you here. Let's do a little bit longer exposure here of this. And let's go there now. And we'll do an exposure, and we'll stay at 1250. Let's push this and see how the guiding system is doing. I'm going to go up to 30 seconds here. I don't want to go to a minute. I'm going to go to 30 seconds right now and check out the guiding system, because I set the sensitivity of the guiding system. And the way it works is if you've got something lined up that you're looking at, okay, there's a secondary telescope up on top of the main telescope, and it's looking at the sky, and it picks out an area in the sky, a very small object, and it looks to guide on that. It tries to keep it exactly centered, and if it can keep it exactly centered, then in the main scope the object will be exactly centered. So I'm going to try and see how the guiding is going now. So 30 seconds. Oh, look at that. I think we actually have a pretty good guiding. Yeah, we're guiding well. Look at that. Yeah, the guiding setup is really nice tonight. We have a really good setup. Very happy about that. Okay, let me appear. Yeah, we are. Okay, good. Just had to make sure I'm here. So I float around. I'll float around the screen a lot. Easy. Whoa, don't make me seasick here. All right. And I'll talk about things like, when you look at these stars, okay, I'll refer to the stars directly. This is part of the interactive experience with SkyTour LiveStream. I hope it's not annoying to you guys. But I really I kind of like immerse myself in the work, you know what I mean? So that's what this is. I'm kind of immersing myself in the work. So one thing to notice about this cluster is when you look at all these stars here, you're looking at a bunch of stars that are perhaps 10,000, 20,000, 25,000 light years away. But we're seeing the combined light of all these stars glowing, and when we look at it with our eye, it's just a soft glow, But when we look at it, up close, if we were to look at it up close, it would actually be a bunch of bright stars in our sky, all speckled fairly evenly around us. That's what's neat about these globular clusters. And I think that these globular clusters are a very interesting phenomenon, because there's many of them. They're in other galaxies. They're in other photos that you've seen before, right? And they represent an object in the universe that actually orbits a galaxy on the outside of the galaxy, and then they go plunging through the disk of the galaxy, into the disk of the galaxy where other stars are. So I think it's really, really cool to watch it happen, and because they're moving very fast, but they're so far away and they're so vast in size, and the galaxy is so large that we can't even see this happening. We'd have to wait millions of years in order to detect some movement. Isn't that crazy? However, there it is. There they are. So because the guiding's working, I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna grab a slightly higher ISO here, and we'll do this before the moon comes up in full here. I'm gonna go to 2000 and stay at 30 seconds. Let's try that and see what we get. All right, so now we're doing that, and we'll go back to our other view so that you actually have something to look at that's more than just this dark screen. Okay, so yeah, these stars, we call these stars, you know, these are population 2 stars. These are among the first stars that arose in the universe, and they basically only have hydrogen and helium in their atmospheres and cores. So many of these stars can be stars like the sun, and many of these stars can be a little bit bigger than the sun. It just depends how much material was around at the time. But isn't it considerably amazing to think that these could be 30,000 light years away and you still see them as sharp points of light, but you'll only see them as points of light, you know? Hey there, Space Hawk, welcome. I just wanted to also mention, okay, I had some questions here. The Perseids are going to be, Perseus will rise later, okay, but it's a winter constellation, so it's probably going to be involved with sunlight when it comes up. But we also have the Perseids in August, okay, and we have to look for the Perseids in later August to see them. Really pretty to watch them. They go zooming across the sky, and sometimes if it's after midnight, they'll be moving slower through the sky, and that's pretty neat. You know, to see that. And we'll probably do a wide angle stream at that point of them. And now let's see, I think that was pretty cool. I did a 1 minute shot and it came in just like that. There it is, and it's beautiful. Let's go close. Let's zoom in a little more. Yeah, I can tell you that I can probably even focus that a little better. But oh yes, actually you asked that question about the Pleiades. The Pleiades is in Taurus, and Taurus is now a constellation that is going to be part of the daytime sky until winter shows up again. And I don't mind telling you, I'm okay without winter. You know, I'm okay without winter. This is really pretty. So let me go check out our planetarium view and see where we are. There's another cluster down here. This is called Messier 80. Let's go see if we can find that one as well. And Messier 80 is another globular cluster, and it's fun to look at what these clusters look like compared to each other. Before we go to Messier 80, I do want to come back to the Rose cluster, and I want to check something out with the Rose cluster, namely its data. Okay, the distance of the Rose cluster is 24,400 roughly light years away. That's pretty distant, right? And that's sort of the average distance of many of these globular clusters. Now, if we go look at Messier 80, which is down in the constellation of Scorpius, it's going to be, let's see, it's going to be, how far away is this one? This one, I think, is farther. Yeah, it's 32,000 light years away. And the clusters are varying sizes roughly, but you can also get some rough idea of how far away they are, by how big they are, their angular diameter in the sky. And so when we look at these clusters, you'll notice that like Messier 13 looks bigger. Omega Centauri is the biggest of all, and it's stunning. It fills the view. And when we open up the observatory in late July, I think, down in Arizona, and we do SkyTour LiveStream West, we will be able to see Omega Centauri and a lot of other southern sky objects that we cannot look at here with any real clarity. So there's going to be a lot of moments where I'm just at a loss to talk when we're in Arizona, I promise. When we're using the Arizona system, I'm going to be like, oh, wow, a lot. You can bet on that. Okay. Hello, Francis Palmer. Hey, now, when you look at these stars, the question is, how close are these stars to each other? Well, they are closer near the center, of course, but near the outside, they gradually are farther and farther apart. And we don't really know why they form the way they do. Now, when we talk about close, they're only going to be a few light years apart from each other in the center, but there'll be many light years apart when you get farther out, and that's something that actually bears some fruit of understanding when you look at this picture. You see this exploding snowball of stars in the center. It's very, very tightly packed, and that corresponds to stars that are only a few light years away from each other, kind of like the distance of Alpha Centauri from us, but maybe a little closer than 4 light years even. It might only be about 2 light years. Yeah, thank you, Papa Tom. If you guys want to have a question answered, it's only me tonight. I left Amanda a message, and I don't think that she saw the message. I didn't realize I was going to be streaming. I didn't even think that it was going to be clear tonight, being that it was raining all day. But it did get clear, and it's like, wow, just amazing. So I figured, hey, we're going to stream. Why not? Let's go for it. So that said, when you look at the center of the cluster, you know they're very close to each other, but then they diverge farther out. What's really going on here? What are the dynamics inside one of these clusters? When we look at a globular cluster like this, we're seeing stars that they were formed all together in this area of space that where they were. This was not where they were formed right here. Okay, this is not where they were formed. This is where they're migrating to, but they're moving as a unit. And if we could see this in fast motion over time, we wouldn't see this cluster just moving like this through space and orbiting around the galaxy. We'd see this. We'd see all kinds of. We'd see all the stars orbiting each other, and as they move around and go as they orbit the galaxy, as they go through the disk of the galaxy, they're going to shed some stars and maybe capture some others. And when they do that, it's possible that they might capture a star that is not like those in the cluster, and there might be a certain percentage of stars in a globular cluster that have elements that are other than hydrogen and helium. And if there is, well, then what we're looking at is a situation where the capture might actually bring a star system into a region of space with a bunch of older stars, and it might be that we would see some planetary nebulae in a globular cluster, or even a supernova at some point if we saw a capture occur where, at some point where the globular cluster captured a big star as it went through the disk of the galaxy. We haven't seen any supernovae in globular clusters as far as I remember. And not only that, we have seen planetary nebulae in globular clusters. There's 4 actually that were known. So you can see it's very rare to have a globular cluster that has a planetary nebula in it. And what are the planetary nebulae? The planetary nebulae are the end of life for a star like the sun. Okay, when these stars use up their hydrogen, well, what happens is they begin to shrink. Okay, because there's less output and gravity begins to win the battle. It's always a battle of outward radiation pressure and gravity trying to crush. Well, as the hydrogen fuel in the center starts to wane, then the star begins to collapse a little bit. As it collapses, more hydrogen in this outer envelope is being brought into the core, which is the only place that hydrogen fusion occurs. And because of that, as the star begins to collapse, as that hydrogen makes its way toward the core, the temperature increases, number one, and there's more hydrogen fuel that's now brought to bear, and it might have a burst of hydrogen fusion again, and that makes the star blow up. And these stars, as they begin to run out of their fuel, they do this. They bring in some hydrogen, and then they blow it up. Okay, not blow up, but bloat up. And then as they bloat up into the size, into a larger size, then they might run out of hydrogen again and shrink again. And then they again bring material back into their cores. And when they bring this material into their cores, they begin fusion again, and they bloat up again. All right, and they can just do this several times in a row. And then something else happens. When they finally run out of hydrogen, the hydrogen is done, they shrink again, and they keep shrinking. And when that happens, they can sometimes now bring helium, the result of hydrogen fusion, into the core, and the temperature reaches 100 million Kelvin, and now helium fusion can begin. And when that happens, all this helium begins to fuse again, and now all of a sudden the star gets a lot of energy, and outward pressure is huge, and the star will bloat into a massive red giant. This is what will happen with our sun. Not tomorrow, so don't be packing. You don't need to. But it'll bloat into a red giant probably in about 5 billion years. So we better figure out how to get off this rock. Yeah. Now, when a star bloats like that, it'll go through several phases. Okay, there's something called the AGB branch, the asymptotic giant branch, and not to worry about that, but it's a different phase of its life. It stops fusing hydrogen into helium, so it turns off the main normal line of stars that are doing this normal fusion, and starts another path which takes it up to this other location where it's a red giant and growing into a red giant and maybe pulsating and doing some weird things. And then from there it begins to cool, and it ends up cooling and shrinking when it finally runs out of all the fusion products. And again, we're talking about stars like this, and then it'll shrink into a white dwarf. And then that I think that when it finally does shrink into a white dwarf, it's still going to be very hot. It's going to give off a lot of ultraviolet energy, and that ultraviolet energy is something that we have to consider as a death sentence for us if the red giant wasn't, because there's some speculation that says if the sun bloats into a red giant, it's going to swallow Mercury and Venus and possibly Earth when the star reaches a certain diameter. Now, Trish D, thank you. I've been on Jimmy Church's show a couple times actually, Fade to Black, and Jimmy's a good guy. We're friends, and I think I did talk about the book the last time I was on, and he's a really good guy, and he'll throw some things at me and say, "Hey, I was up in the Cascades and photographed this strange thing. What do you think it is?" And he doesn't like that I sometimes tell him what it really is. He'd rather that it not be that, it be something really cool. I'm sorry, I have to let science do the talking, right? So that said, I think that and thank you for that, Trish. So when these stars finally do shrink, they're going to go down to a white dwarf, and that white dwarf stage is something that we have talked about before, and we've seen planetary nebulae. Those planetary nebulae, when the star is doing that pulsating thing I was telling you about, well, it's pushing the stuff out. And sometimes it doesn't come back. When it pushes the stuff out, sometimes as the star is contracting as a whole, that outer atmosphere just continues going out. And that outer atmosphere is something that then begins to glow because of the high ultraviolet radiation output of the star. It causes that outer atmosphere that's now free of the star and pushing out to glow. That's what we see with the Ring Nebula, the Dumbbell Nebula, the Cat's Eye Nebula. We see that with all these different planetary nebulae. And because of the way they operate, this is what's cool. Because of the way these planetary nebulae operate, when they actually start to grow, the white dwarf in the center, they're all pretty much the same. And they have pretty much the same effective range of effect. So a certain distance from a white dwarf, they can do this process that makes the radiation or makes the gases glow that have been sloughed off of the star. and that size is about a light year. So when you see a planetary nebula, and if you know, as an astronomer, if you know that this is a mature planetary nebula, it's not still expanding to get to that 1 light year mark. If it's already reached it, and you know that, then you know how far away it is by its angular diameter in the sky. You can kind of make a rough estimate. But because some of this stuff is not visible in visible light, it might be visible in the infrared, it might be visible in the ultraviolet. That changes the diameter of the planetary nebula, which can change the distance in a remarkable huge way. So I think thank you, Trish. Thank you very much. That'd be very nice. I'd love to go back on his show anyway. We know each other very well, so that maybe it'll remind him, hey, yeah, why not? Trish was suggesting I go on Jimmy Church's show, Fade to Black, and I've done it, but and great guy, you know. I gotta go to Boulder on the 19th of this month, because I'm gonna be with George Norrie on Beyond Belief, his show, and while I'm there, I'm gonna be doing another show called Deep Space. Both are on Gaia, and one is with the first one's with George Norrie. The other one is with a guy named Sid Goldberg, who's a darn good producer for Gaia TV. And then from there, I can tell you I'm going to be thinking about the desert, because I'll be in the desert building the observatory less than a week later. Again, this is if all goes well. The people hosting me out there have to agree that they are going to feel safe with COVID and everything, and I will not put anyone at risk just for a stupid observatory. Okay, these are people's lives we're talking about, so I will not do that. So whatever they say, if they're even slightly concerned, I'm not going to do it. Because they're very good friends, and I will not, even if I didn't know them and they were just letting me sit on their land, I wouldn't do it without permission, So, that's the way it is. So, so far, the trip is still on. I have a building crew, thanks to Marianne Robb, who is helping to organize all this. She's amazing. I can't say enough about her. She's just so good at this. And she's got a crew coming out to do the building of the observatory. And then we have another set of people coming out to basically install the hardware to allow the roof to roll off. And that's the cool part. See, we have a dome out here now, as you saw, okay? And the dome has a round, dome top, right? And a shutter that opens and closes. Well, that shutter has blown off 4 times in the winter. I've had 3 feet of snow in the dome, covering the computer, which are still running. But because it was below zero, the snow hadn't melted. So I went in there and shoveled out this computer, took all the wires and just shook them, and all the snow came off like a powder, put them in baggies, and let them dangle into the snow, but covered in baggies. Brought the computer in the house, used an air compressor and just went and blew out all the snow. Let the computer sit for 3 days, turned it on, and that's the computer running a dome to this day, right? So the company that makes the dome has fixed this problem with their shutters, but not before sending me 4 sets of shutters. To their credit, for free. They didn't charge me a dime for these. I was sort of helping them figure out what they could do to make this thing better. Now they made a new way to hold down these shutters on the dome, but it's not really robust enough to withstand a full remote operation. You have to tend to it. It needs maintenance. I'm looking at a maintenance-free system, so that's why we have basically a small barn that's going to be built, and it has a roof that comes right off. It slides off. And there's actually some pretty high winds in the desert. The winds can be up to 80 miles an hour across those desert sands. And we also have things called haboobs out there. And those are dust storms. And the dust storms can really wreak havoc on your telescope if you're not careful. So you have to make sure that the dust, once the building's closed up, you have to make sure that the dust can't get in. And yes, I know I told you, what, 20 minutes ago I was going to go to this other thing, but I just want to, this cluster's so beautiful. I like having it up there. I apologize. So let's see if we can bring ourselves to another cluster at the moment. All right, and let's bring up, yeah, that's the one that we're looking at. Let's go and see if we can go from M5 here to, this is M5 where we are, I believe. M5 is like the computer on Star Trek. M5. Yeah. And then we're going to try and look at now where this is down in the murk. So we'll see how it looks. All right. And you won't remember how it looks here in Connecticut, but down in Arizona, it's going to be a lot higher in the sky. So here we go. You'll watch the cluster right here. You'll see it disappear in just a moment. And there it goes. And the telescope is heading down, and you can't see that because, of course, I have to, there we go. Oh, it looks like we have a little bit of the dome in the way. Actually, that's just going to the star. Let's see if that is going to cause problems for us. What stars are going to? Oh yeah, it's probably going to have a little problem. But it'll still find it apparently. I think I see it looking for a star. And then it's going to end up. Alright, so we'll have a little bit of a red glow here, I think, because I've got the red light on in the dome, which is my little signal that says that the dome's in the way. Out west, we're not going to have to worry about that at all. Okay. Cypher 2 is saying Midnight in the Desert. Yeah, that's another show. Midnight in the Desert, and I was on that show some time ago. I think that was with Heather Wade, actually, so I think Heather left that show. But hey there, Katie Q. It's nice to see you. And I see the cluster down here. Let me bring it up into the view. Just get it up higher into the sky of the telescope here. My camera sensor has some objects on it that have to be removed. Okay, let's just do this here. A little more. Okay, there is the cluster. Let me go and take a little bit of a, let's do this. Let's okay, not 30 seconds because we have the dome in the way, so we're going to see some red. I'll do 20 seconds at 2000, but we're going to give the telescope time to acquire, if it can, with the dome in the way. Sometimes it may not work, and then you got to wait for me to go and move the dome. Oh, we can do that. Okay. I'm waiting. You wait about 11 seconds, you know, and then that's all it needs. I don't know if you can see, but this object right here is the one I'm talking about. Can you see that thing right there? That's a little faint guy, and I think that's the actual cluster we're looking for right there. You know, these are not the clusters you're looking for. So here we go. Let's do 20 seconds and see if we caught it. Mothman Sam, nice to see you. Rascally Rabbit, it's very cool to see you guys. And Do is here. All right, Do. All right. Yeah, look. Oops. Yeah, we got a little issue there. But remember I told you it was farther away? You can clearly see it's farther away than this cluster, can't you? Very clear. Even if the dome's in the way, we don't get the clarity because it's low to the horizon, but you still can tell that this would be this big if it was closer to us. You know, so pretty interesting, huh? But we'll fix that. I'm gonna go and take care of that. So, do you mind if I go out and move the dome? Of course you don't, because you're gonna see really cool things. But I'll leave this I'll leave this screen open here, and I'll actually get rid of, let's see, we'll get rid of these things here that are in the way, including me and my mug, because that way if something happens, you can actually watch it on the screen. You'll see it happen. All right, so I'll be right back in just a moment. Right. And we're back. Oh, and by the way, it's firefly season, so if you see a bright flash go through the screen, you could get pretty excited, but it might also just be a firefly. I was outside. I thought I saw a meteor, and I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I looked at it, and then it was gone. And then it was back. I was like, oh, it's a firefly. Really cool. And some people who were watching this stream have never seen a firefly. You know, pretty interesting. Hey there, Dan Delaire. Dan is from nearby. He's not far away. All right, let's do 20 seconds here. I'm going to go up to 2500 ISO and 20 seconds on this cluster. Yes, sirree. The moon is up. Big full moon, strawberry moon. That doesn't mean it's all red. It just means that it's, well, it's the particular beginning of the season for strawberries kind of thing. All right, clearly what happens is we have to adjust focus when we have things that are in this much murk. But if this is out of focus and the other cluster is not, then it literally means that this cluster's, the seeing is so terrible, the transparency is so terrible. A lot of moisture in the air between here and where the line of sight leaves the atmosphere. So I won't be making an adjustment to the focus for this one because it's focused. It's just, it's really, really bad seeing. So pretty cool. All right, well anyway, but you can see the size difference, okay? The size as opposed to this right here. Now, in Arizona, the sky is going to be a full 10 degrees higher in the sky at this point, but it's going to be even higher in the sky. We're going to see some really, really interesting stuff out there. And by the way, I'm also working on something else. And that something else is that I'm going to try to have a second telescope. There are 2 piers going into the telescope observatory out there, right? And we might be sharing it with another very well-known stream who may be renting that pier from us, because I offered it to them and they're really excited about it. So that's possible. Now, that means that's the other thing too. The observatory, of course, has a camera that has sound in it, so you hear every vehicle that's going by on the road far out there. Not bad. So let's go back to our particular view here. Let's go to this guy. Here we go, right there. Here we are. And now I can bring these others back. Bring back the operations cam. Ta-da! Hey, who's that? This is the Blue Cam group, otherwise known as the Blue Man group, right? It's actually called a Blue Cam. And in my broadcast software, I call it Blue Cam group, like Blue Man group. If any of you have ever seen Blue Man group, they're really, really phenomenal musicians. The founders of Blue Man Group were created Blue Man Group and were based at the Astor Theater in New York City, which I'm sure some of you here will say, "Oh, I know that." And one of the founders was actually, before he became a Blue Man, before he founded Blue Man Group, he was my drum teacher for 3 years. He taught me some really crazy stuff on the drums. And I always knew that he would probably end up going someplace with that. And he has. He's definitely made his mark in the world. And he's a really good guy. His name's Chris. So, we have this guy here. And this is really down in the murk. We have to wait for this to come up more before it shows us anything. But on a night like tonight, we can't bet on it. It's not going to be very good, And we certainly can't look at nebulae tonight. And behind the dome is where the moon is right now, from our view here. Okay, so if we were to get rid of the dome, you'd see, where is the moon? Oh, it's right there. All right, yeah, that's about where it is. It's actually not quite behind the dome in this view, but it's right there. And we're actually looking right there, so you can see that we're not going to see much of anything. But you know what? We can see a few other things while we're here. Let's go. This is the rose cluster, the one we saw. Let's go see if we can look at. Let me zoom in here a little. Unfortunately, we can't see planetaries and things like that either, too well, which really stinks. But maybe we can see a few of these guys. Maybe Messier 12. All right, we'll take a look at this one. Messier 12 is 15,000. No, 15,000 light years away. So it's a little closer. It's quite a bit closer than the other cluster we were just trying to look at. All right, so why don't we try to see this one? All right, you look at on the left here, you'll watch this cluster, you'll watch it go away, and you'll watch the telescope view, you'll watch it move. Okay, there it goes, it's gone. And look at the telescope. And the telescope's doing its thing. All right, that's the finder star that's being used. Okay, and what star is that? Okay, well, we are in Ophiuchus, and we are looking at the star Kappa Ophiuchi, and that's going to be our guide star that takes us down to Messier 12. All right, and Messier 12 will be in the view. You can see the stars lining in here, coming in, and I think the cluster is right here. Now, it's 15,000 light years away, so at 15,000 light years, compared to the other one that we're just looking at 15,000 light years, I suspect we're going to see a star cluster that's a little bit bigger than that last one. All right, so let's check it out. Let's do just a 20-second finder shot at 2500 and see. Again, I think it's right there. Right there. We'll see. Momentarily. Oh, the suspense is killing me. Oh. Yeah, see, James, you're right. You don't even see a firefly down there. Interesting, this phosphorescent tail end on these suckers. There it is. It's just, there it is. Look at that. See? And it's a lot bigger. See, it's bigger than that one we were trying to look at just now. See that? Beautiful. And again, we're looking in white light. Yes, fireflies are the same, Keisha, as lightning bugs. Exactly right. Hey, you want to hear something funny? I went camping many years ago, and we forgot our flashlights. So you know what we did? We caught about, no lie, about 150 fireflies and put them in a jar, and we brought them into the tent, and we hung the jar up on the tent post inside. And every time we needed light, we would just tap the jar, and they'd all light up. And we put holes so that they could, you know, breathe and all that. We're not killers. And it was really just so cool because all night long it was like they were mesmerizing us with these little flickers, you know. And then they would all calm down, and there'd be one or two that would just keep flickering, on and off, flickering. And then you tap the jar, and they go, they all flicker. It was really cool. And then in the morning, we opened up the jars and we let them all go out and take off and go back to their worlds, because we basically kidnapped them, and you know, we didn't want to do that. Well, it is very difficult to catch fireflies actually, because they, especially at night. But we used a net, and so we would go to where we just saw one fly, and then we just swipe madly at the air and look in our net, and there he was, you know. And then when they're excited, they flash almost continuously, you know, so you can't miss them, which is really kind of like detrimental, I guess, to them. They shouldn't do that. They should go silent, you know, go into stealth mode, you know. They can flash in the ultraviolet, you know, or in the UV, frequencies, right? All right, let's see if we can actually get a longer exposure of this guy and check it out. All right, I'm gonna go up to 3200. Okay, 4000, and we'll do 30 seconds on this guy. And this is kind of neat. So we went up 4 stops. Yeah, and it's right there, as we said, and it's really pretty. Yes, firefly abductions, Charles. Hey there, Charles. Speaking of Charles, he's here. Keisha's here. Hey, I said hi to you, but I didn't. I responded to something you said, but I didn't actually say hello to you. Yeah. And Ronald's here. Hey, Ronald. Earth Radio. Yep. Yeah, see how bright that is? That's because of the moon. The moon is really brightening up the sky. Check it out. It's gotten that much brighter. Well, that's all right. We can deal with it, right? It is really pretty, though. You can see how some of the stars look very bright and some of the stars look faint, right? I'd have to look on the charts and get the studies, but those might just be stars that are very close to us, because some of these are traveling through the disk of the galaxy. This is one of those. Okay, if we look at the chart, okay, where this is located, this guy, right, if we look where Ophiuchus is, the galaxy is here, so he's beginning to enter or leave the galaxy's disk, which is really down here. That's the Sagittarius star cloud down here. And so I think that it's very probable that some of these stars, because we're getting denser and denser star fields, are going to be foreground stars. Most likely the stars in the cluster are all around the same brightness to us, So as pretty as this guy looks, and these two and these here, those are all most likely in our galaxy, and that these fainter ones are all part of that cluster. You have to separate this three-dimensionality here, because that's what's going on. And logically, they all formed in the same place, so they're all going to have relatively the same amount of material in them. And that's how these things work. So now, since the moon is up, let's do a special change to our system here. Let's go in to this, and we're on the open filter slot where there's nothing blocking us. Let's now go to filter wheel 2. Filter 2 is filter 2 is a filter that has sort of a narrow band, but it's a little bit wider narrow band, and we will have to refocus on this because we are looking through more glass now. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a nearby star and focus on that. Okay. We should be able to find a star right there. So I'm going to go and grab a little bit more and do this. You'll see our little telescope indicator moving. There's a star coming into view. Sorry. Okay, I'll bring these stars up. Okay, and I'm going to use these as focal points. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm now going to go into the focus mode here. It'll look like all the stars are gone, but they're not really. Okay, I'm going to move the star over. So here it comes. And there it goes. Okay, I'll bring it back. Okay. All right. So now the telescope will catch up, and now what I can do is I can refocus for the filtered shot. Here we go. Okay, that's out of focus. Now we're going to bring it back in the other way. That might be it. We'll try that. All right, let's do we'll just do a 20-second shot here. We don't need to go the full 30 seconds on this. Thanks, David. Good to see you, Dave Schmidt. I feel I should explain. One of the problems, and you hear me cough a lot. I think we did okay here. I think the focus looks good. The reason you hear me cough a lot is because one of my vocal cords is paralyzed. And it happened a few years ago, 5 years ago actually, during surgery to actually save my life. And I needed 2 new heart valves because they got infected. I had 2 valves that got infected. And basically that's a death sentence. And so my heart was deteriorating rapidly, and the only way they could fix it was to rush in there and change out the heart valves, which they did. And they're all human valves. And then when they did the operation, during the surgery, they missed a clot that got loose from the debris area. It went up into the brain, exploded, and they ended up having 8 large strokes on the operating table, and they never knew it. They just found out that I couldn't wake up. I wasn't waking up. And so they did a CAT scan, and they saw my brain look like Swiss cheese. Oh no, what happened? Well, it was all these strokes. So what they did was they ended up letting me, they stuck me in a medically induced coma to see if I would live. That's actually what they said to my family. And during that coma, I was wide awake. I remember everything. And they say no, but I told them I told them many of the things they were saying when I could finally talk again, because I had to learn how to do that too. So when I was doing that, I noticed also that one of my vocal cords was paralyzed, and that's never come back. So I end up having to clear a lot, which is really annoying. And if you think it's bad for you, try living with it. You know, and being a speaker for part of your life's work, you know, that makes it hard. So I have this water nearby at all times, and I'm always drinking it. You know. So that said, when I actually saw the results of this surgery, and they said, well, you know, you're probably going to be a quadriplegic and blind for the rest of your life, so you're going to have to deal with that. I said, yeah, no, that isn't going to happen. I knew I was going to be all right, and that's a story for another time. But when I got to the rehab center on June 15th of 2015, I was blind. I was a quadriplegic and couldn't talk and no control of anything, you know. And so I basically, they had a tracheotomy in here, so I couldn't even talk. But when they took the trach out, I could talk. And when I was talking, it was coming out all burbly because I had to relearn how to talk. So the first thing I focused on was being able to say certain words because I wanted to tell them what I needed. And so they ended up, let me just do another shot here of this. What I ended up having them do was to put my screen, my laptop screen on, and the laptop screen was playing TV shows from Netflix. I couldn't see them in any way, shape, or form. However, my brain knew they were there, and so as I waited and waited and waited for something to happen, my brain started to reroute and repathway itself, and it made it possible for me to actually see again because it rerouted, because my brain was struggling to see, and it was being assaulted by this stuff on the screen, you know, and it didn't know what to make of it, and I knew that this would heal my brain, and in fact that's exactly what happened. So it seems to me that there's no way at all, in fact, that I was gonna sit back and just do nothing, right? So, oh, there goes something. You see that right through? It went right through. That was a meteor, went right through. Or a satellite, I mean. Yeah, so what I ended up doing actually was to retrain the brain, and it worked, and I managed to get everything back. But the things that didn't come back were the vocal cord, and, my left foot's numb, but you know what? Small price to pay. I stopped trying to work on getting the vocal cord back, and I stopped trying to make my left foot less numb because I was very happy where I was, and I needed to move forward with life and do other things. But I went in there on June 15th, 2015 to the rehab afterwards, and you know what they said to me? They said, you're going to be here for 8 to 10 weeks, and then it's going to be like a 2-year recovery. You realize that's what's going to happen. And I said, I have to speak at a conference in September in Los Angeles, and it was June. And the guy, I couldn't see him at the time, but he said later, he looked at me with this look on his face like, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Look at this. This is beautiful right there. And I said, no, in my head. I mean, I said, I'm not out of my mind. I'm going to speak at this conference. I mean, why is that such a problem? I'm sure I'm going to be fine. And he said, you do realize what happened to you, right? And that sparked him to bring in people that could test to see whether I was all there, because they didn't think that I was really embracing reality here. And I said, yes, I'm embracing reality, and the embracing that I'm doing is that I'm going to be fine. I will be, in September, I will be in Los Angeles doing my talk. And they said, you can't even talk. I said, Small problem. I'll fix that. That's literally what I said, but they heard because that's how it came out, you know. So, little by little, I retrained my path of my brains. I learned to talk again by looking at my mouth in a mirror once I trained my eyes to see again, and I was able to do it. And June 15th, I got in, and it wasn't even 3 weeks later, July 3rd, they said, we're sending you home. You know, I can't, you know, you're going home. And I was like, yeah, and I'll be in Los Angeles in September. And the guy said to me, I think you will. And I was. I mean, I did my talk, you know, no help. I just, you know, had a lot of water, you know, a lot of this, you know. So that was pretty cool. Hey, there's Keith. Keith is here, B&K. Keith, I've questioned whether you're there a number of times. Yeah, I know. You have, and you'd be right to question it, Keith. You know, take off your caps lock key there, Charles. Look what you did. So anyway, that's the short story on all this. But the bottom line is that this has actually afforded me a tremendous love of astronomy and the universe, being able to see it. You know, and I can't tell you what it was like to be profoundly blind, because there are no words to describe not being able to see. You don't see black, you know, you see nothing. And I can't tell you what nothing is, because you've never experienced nothing. But that's what you quote unquote see, is nothing. And the brain can heal itself, and I know that I've helped people that have had strokes since then, and they have gotten back their control and their faculties based on stuff I've talked about. And I don't say it's my doing. It's not. It's their brain's doing. They just have to be willing to do it. Anyway, so this globular cluster we're looking at, I will go back and tell you where we are right now. Just check it out. We're looking at Messier 12 right now, also known as NGC 6218. This is the one that's 15,000 light years away. Check out its size. Okay, it's a fairly good sized cluster in the sky for what it is. All right, and we're looking at it through the somewhat wider angle. Wider narrowband filter. Keith, if you want to join tonight, let me know, and I can bring you in if you want. If you're part of this, you want to come in. I know it's been cloudy and crappy down in Miami, but let me know if you want to come in. You're more than welcome to join us. I'd be honored if you would come in if you'd like. Hello, Cindy. Cindy's here. Kingus is here. Yeah. Yeah, see? Yeah, I know. It's terrible down there. Well, yeah, it's yeah, that's true. It's actually very cloudy and terrible down there, but let me tell you, when it's clear, you guys do stuff with the moon that I'm astonished. You know, you do so good down there. If you guys haven't joined P&K Space Imaging, you should. And Keith, put in your link so people can. And like I said, if you want to come in, let me know, and I'll add you here and bring y'all in. Okay, so this is Messier 12, 15,000 light years away, and right below it, there's another one that we can go to. Let's check it out. Okay, and let's see. Bring up this guy, and there's Messier 10 that I was looking at. Let's go to Messier 10. You won't really see much over on this side because, unfortunately, the stars were all pretty faint in this region. We just have to take it on faith that it's working. So here we go. The telescope is now going to be moving off. And if you notice, you can see it moving, and now it brings in a star that it's going to use as a marker star. And that star is it Sullik? I think that's Sullik down there. Sulk. Or Saik? Yeah. Yeah, you want to join? Come on in. Cool. Look at this, Marianne. I think he should come in. Be wide awake for once with nothing to do tomorrow. Finally, yeah, that's you, Marianne. Doesn't have anything to do tomorrow. There we go. And now we're gonna do this. All right, and we're gonna pull into this cluster like a spacecraft on steroids, making our way in to Messier 10. Keith, I'll add you to the call. I'll just bring you on in. We want to bring him on in. Okay. And let's do this. Here we go. You guys have to pardon the noise. Gosh.
That never gets old.
It never.
It's crap out of me.
Welcome, Keith from P&K Space Imaging. This is the man who knows his way about the moon.
Or I pretend to, anyway.
And you do a great job of that. You know.
What's up, Mark?
Oh, not much, man. I feel bad for you guys. I know you've been fighting the weather down there, huh?
Yeah, well, that and well, you know, the area Paul's in is in Miami, and
Yeah. Are there riots?
you know how they get a little rowdy down in that neck of the woods sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, all kinds of goodies. But what can you do? Paul's okay. I'm okay.
Good.
Everything's good. We're just not streaming because the weather has just been not on our side this month.
Yeah.
So let's hope for next month.
Well, you know what? It's a full moon anyway. There's nothing to see.
Yeah. Yeah. But at least you're up and running.
Yeah.
You cleared out for us here in the Northeast. Still humid. I'm guessing it's still humid up your way.
It's humid, and in fact, a lot of the star clusters are showing extinction. And for those who don't,
do you have a defogger on your scope? Or,
I do.
Oh, okay, cool.
I have a dew management system that takes care of dew that would form. Hopefully, not a whole lot. This is a 25-second at 4,000. We're going to look at this globular cluster. It looks like it's right here. I could be wrong. But right there is what it looks like. Is it there? Yeah, see, there it is. Yeah, see, this is Messier 10. Tara mentioned, Tina Peterborough didn't say it, but Tara said that there's a lot of really interesting blue and orange stars. Well, unfortunately, Tara, the filter that we're using, it's one of the narrowband filters. It allows us to see the stars very nicely, but kind of blocks the moonlight a little. The blue here is what little the moonlight's getting in, compared to this. Okay, this is what it looks like in white light. Okay, and when you add the filter, you get a much better contrast, and you see this. All right, so it does tend to give you just a little bit of a bluish cast. So the orange stars kind of appear a little more purpley blue, and so it's sort of not real, right, Keith? Yeah.
Oh, question over here. I got a question.
Okay.
Can you, in the simplest terms possible, because I was trying to find a way to word this, and I was like, you know who would know how to word this, Mark, in the simplest terms and the shortest terms. Now, I did say short.
I know you said short. I heard I heard that.
Explain blue shift.
Okay.
In the shortest and most compact way possible, but make all, like, I don't want you to leave something out because you think that it's too long of an explanation. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Explain the whole blue shift when it comes to light waves and stuff like that.
Well, you can't explain blue shift without explaining red shift.
Yep.
Now, when a train comes at you and it blows its whistle, okay, you hear beep. When a car comes to you, as it's approaching, you hear beep. And then as it goes away, you hear right?
And if you're lucky, if not...
Exactly. And you'll hear the last thing you hear. Yeah. And that sound you hear is the change in the pitch of the sound waves. So it's like a car going by is like, you know? And as it's approaching, think of the sound waves as being compressed closer together. And as it goes away, the sound is now racing away from the car toward you, but they're being dragged out and made longer. And that means longer frequency. In terms of sound, that's what you get. But in terms of light, you get higher frequencies as the light's coming towards you, and lower frequencies as the light's going away from you. So the light gets shifted toward the higher energy part of the spectrum, which is the blue part of the spectrum, thus blue shifted. And as it's
Okay,
going...
wait. Explain the blue. Is that like, explain the wave of blue compared to red?
Okay, well, if you look at the way the visible spectrum is, we measure wavelengths of light in terms of color, right? We have red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, and violet, right? Roy G. Biv.
Roy G. Biv.
Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Yep. And that's Roy G. Biv. But if you look at the actual energy associated with blue light is higher energy. For instance, ultraviolet light is very high energy light. Gamma rays, very, very high energy blue light. X-rays, very high energy bluish light. You just can't see gamma rays and you can't see X-rays because they're way outside the visible range, but toward the blue end of the spectrum. Okay, so when a prism breaks up the light into red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, way past the violet that you can see is ultraviolet, and then past that is the gamma rays, and way past that are the X-rays and so forth. So,
can we compare that to a heartbeat? Okay, let's say a heartbeat, like a fast heartbeat, a fast wave, that is shifted towards what color?
I don't.
Okay, like a tempo almost. Let's use a heartbeat as a tempo. Okay, and if you're looking at a wavelength through a musical tempo.
Okay.
You have waves of light that run on the same wave kind of frequency as like a sound does. Correct?
But yeah, you don't want to confuse sound and light, but yes, I mean, the way you look at it.
Basically, I'm trying to say like a fast heartbeat, like say a 135 BPM,
okay,
beats per minute.
Yeah.
That's a fast wavelength. That's a very fast up and down wavelength. What end of the color spectrum is that going towards when it's a very fast up and down wavelength, not an elongated
It's
wavelength?
going to the blue end of the spectrum, if you want to think of it that way.
Okay.
And when you go to the red end of the spectrum, the waves are drawn out. All right. Imagine this. It's like if you compare it to sound and what you can hear what it's doing. And then to understand what it's doing is the sound that's being emitted from a car horn as it's approaching you. The sound is racing out of the car horn, but they're crunched together because the car is moving towards you at a high rate of speed. So the sound waves are being pushed more together. That corresponds to a higher frequency, more crests and troughs in the sound wave that's being emitted.
So kind of being compressed,
yes,
between your ears and the oncoming getting closer. You're
correct.
Kind of compressing it like a bread,
that's correct.
Loaf of bread.
That's right. Crush a loaf of bread from the ends, yeah, and you got higher frequencies. You stretch it. Okay, and then as it's going away, that same sound is moving at the same speed, but now the car is moving farther, away from you at a fast speed, to say the constant speed. And so those waves get drawn out longer, and that corresponds to lower frequency or red. So when we look at stars in space, stars that are moving toward us have waves that are shifted to the blue end of the spectrum.
Do you want to know my crazy thinking why? Because I've been doing a lot of reading on light and how it affects actually people.
Apparently so.
And it's been shown that the blue light,
yes,
or up towards the ultraviolet spectrum, actually increases humans' heartbeats.
Really?
Just by visualizing it.
Well,
and I found that very interesting, that red light actually calms, where blue light actually increases heart rate. And it's actually measurable, and I thought that was really interesting. Because you have your comparison between sound, light, and, humans, basically.
I think I understand you, because I'm really talking faster now because I have my blue light on, but then if I change it to the red, well, then I can kind of slow down and talk softer, see?
Well, that's because my whole house is sitting in the middle of and red light.
That's right. Why? And because it's red light. Then we go to blue light. Now I feel like a micro machine's guy talking very fast on everything I say. But then if we go back to red, it's like, oh, okay, well, now we can talk slower.
Hello.
Yeah, real slow down.
But that's an interesting study, isn't it? Like, somebody actually thought to do that, to see what effects the light has on us.
It actually has an
effect. Our core functions without us realizing.
Yes, I mean, when you look at the CIC in a destroyer, it's this color. It's blue. So yeah, this is blue light now that I have on, because I have these lights that are in my office, which are are Wi-Fi programmable lights for any color under the sun. And all I have to do is just hit some buttons and on my iPhone here, which you cannot see, and I will go different colors. I can go actually white light. Okay, I can do Arctic aurora. Okay, I can do the blue.
We are in Sesame Street land today.
I know, aren't we though?
The letter of the day
we go
is
to
A.
The letter for today is CIC and destroyers. Oh, thank you.
What do you have? Like a green screen behind you? Like you're totally matrixing out on me here.
No, this is
YouTube.
No, see, this is what I use now to actually like point out stuff. See, like the stars here.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing. I'm actually.
I mean, it's cool. Don't get me
wrong. It's something that takes a little getting used to, I guess.
Oh, is it the Skype backgrounds that you just added?
No, actually, I'm using I'm using another product to do that.
Oh.
I can probably let me just share my screen, and you won't have to worry about looking at YouTube. All right.
Well,
I think golly gee, we gotta do it. Okay.
I consider myself one of the people, Mark, and
You
but
are.
Okay.
You are.
I'm a man of the people.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out on YouTube.
You are. You are a
If you
people.
want to make me an elitist, go ahead.
No, I'm bringing you on board so that you see things as I see them. So when you're talking about them, you don't have to wait 30 seconds, and then people go, "Why is he waiting so long?"
Wow, are you still on a 30-second delay?
Well, however long it is.
Oh.
But we don't want any kind of delays, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I've been experimenting. It's been kind of tough, like streaming at 1080p with the normal latency, which is usually about 10 seconds, which isn't bad.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, I mean, I'm using 1080p, but I've got, I think I actually did. What he's talking about is changing the parameters inside our broadcasting software to make sure that we can get the information to you as quick as we can for the highest quality we can get. And that's kind of what we're doing.
We don't compromise.
We don't compromise.
We take it right to that point.
We take it
where it looks like crap.
Almost to the point of failure.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we bring it back. That's right.
Yep.
Yep. So see, that works great,
Cool.
But then, tonight, like for instance, I was telling people about the different elements of our screen and the different types of stuff that we do. Some haven't been here before, which is understandable, so basically...
Oh, you picked a bad night with me here. But
no,
hello, everybody.
Not at all. We have great people here. And they all know you. So
there's the old screen. Okay, there it is. I just seen it pop up on YouTube with the old the camera controls and all that stuff. Okay.
Well, it's not the old screen. This is the new screen. This is, I basically, I have... As before, this is telescope control section over here. That's actual telescope controls. We can actually go to specific objects now through here. This is computer control of the telescope, and this is the filter wheel, so I can go to the different filters.
Nice.
Then we have the telescope infrared system here. We have me, hello, all right, and then we have the camera controls over here. And then, of course, this is all the live screen. But this is all stuff that goes away if I wanted to. I can get rid of all these things so that you can see an uninterrupted screen. Like when I went out to move the dome earlier, I just let them have a full big screen so they can actually
I tell you what, look at you. It's like my baby boy's finally grown up.
Let me tell you, okay, I'm gonna say this publicly to all those watching, and we have, I think, about 40 people watching. And right now, the guy that's on with me right now, Keith.
Oh, no, here we go.
Hey, shut up. The guy that's on P&K Space Imaging, okay, he's responsible in large part to me streaming, because I didn't know whether I should stream or not, and he convinced me to try it, and I found out that it really was wonderful. But I looked at the beginning streams when I first did the streams way in the beginning several years ago. It was bare bones, and then as time went on, I said, well, wait, I really need a camera inside the observatory to see what's going on, and I want to put a camera on me so people can see how it's working, how this works. And then I said, well, now I want people to be able to see the camera operations, and now I want people to see the telescope operators. And unfortunately, that all was a drag on the system, so I had to actually get a new system. So I did. And now we actually have a really nice It's a really nice setup now, the way it actually works. And
the student has become the teacher.
oh, not really. I mean, I was always the teacher. I'm just kidding. As far as doing streaming, you taught me an awful lot about what to do, and I didn't really know how to do it. And so I had to ask you a lot of questions about how this streaming software works.
Yeah, but you're a smart guy. You picked it up quick.
Oh, thanks.
And it looks great now. I like it.
Very cool, Gabe. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabe.
Hold on. All right.
I'll talk to the chat people, because I'm a man of the people. You do your thing, Mark. Hello to Dagger. I see you're on here, and of course Marianne. Always fun to be around. And Do, and Cypher2.
Yeah.
Who else we got here? Let me go up here. Tina and Tara and Genghis and DK.
Yep. All right, I'm back.
And you're back. Gas Mask, Charles.
Oh, Gas Mask is here. I didn't catch him.
Gas Mask is here.
Yeah, I did tell Tim F that he really should have gotten here sooner. He's usually the first one here, but Cypher 2 beat him, man. Cypher beat him. That's really funny. I loved it.
Cypher 2.
Yep. Hey, Dagger. Yep. Cypher 2 Productions. Yep. So we're looking at globular clusters tonight because there's so many visible right now, and it just is a beautiful sight. With the full moon, you really don't see too much, and I just lost my feed to the observatory. So let me just bring it back. I don't know why it happens. Sometimes it happens. It's crazy stuff. So here we are.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. So let's go and check that out. So the other night was such a beautiful moon night. I mean, it was stunning. I literally could see some amazing detail right down to really, really small proportions on the moon. The seeing was fantastic, and the transparency was really good.
Well, I'm telling you, you're just going to rub it in, aren't you?
Oh, sorry.
Gee.
No, but what I'm saying is, it was absolutely phenomenal. One of the better nights. It's the same type of night that I had that night when I caught M16, which is the Eagle Nebula.
You mean tonight?
No.
Is that what you're talking
about?
Okay.
No. This was, the moon was like, probably just right at first quarter.
Oh, one of those kind of nights. Me and Paul call that crispy.
Oh, it was crispy, all right. It was actually just past first quarter.
He'll text me up and goes, dude, moon's crispy. I'm like, all right, give me a time.
That's right. Absolutely.
And you know what? I hate to say it, especially with everything going on in the world, but this little shutdown has been great for atmospherics. Like, really good.
Yeah, it has, actually. And, for my business, many of you know that I have a visual effects company that I own and run, and I actually have been getting more work than before, and I don't mind the work going away if it means everybody gets healthy. But during this whole COVID thing, I'm actually getting more work than I've ever had, and I've got 9 projects I have to do for the Navy and for individuals. It's like, wow, and setting their expectations is very important too.
Yeah,
and it's
I get it.
Tough.
I mean, my escort service is through the roof right now.
Yeah.
Everybody wants company. Go figure.
Yeah, okay. Where am I supposed to go with that?
Nowhere. You're just supposed to sit there and let it die.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's always good to catch you off guard where you're actually making Mark speechless. I have to add that to my trophy case.
And you should, because
it's only happened a few times, but it does happen.
You catch me sometimes. You do.
Sausage.
Oh yeah, you're just something else.
Oh yeah, astronomy.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing though. Like I said, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you, and I owe you plenty. I always have. You and Paul both.
I take checks.
Yeah, I don't know you that much.
Okay. Yeah. Well, a solid thank you. It was just fine.
Yeah. So yeah, so
Well, it doesn't cost anything to plant an idea.
no.
The ground actually has to grow it, and consider your home and your observatory the ground.
Yeah, and now,
I just went by and dropped a seed. That's all.
Yeah, well, it was you practically used a trowel to dig the hole and put the dirt around the seed too. You practically.
Well, I mean that seed was expensive, and I do expect to check some numbers.
You were not you were not waiting to make sure that you know, I would say something on that order, but you kind of just I got it, I get it, man.
You got it.
Yeah,
What are we looking at tonight? What are your plans? Where are we going? What are we doing?
We've been just looking at globular clusters right now because the moon is really, really bright in the sky, and it is right there. There is the moon. This is the planetarium view that I'm showing you, and it's just pretty disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much drowning everything out.
It is. It's making it very bad for everybody. Astronomers don't like the moon.
What's visible away from the moon? Like as far away from as we can get.
Well, that's what I would
What's
do.
on horizons?
Well, we don't want to go to horizons, but actually, I've been looking at the globular clusters here, and I have to move the dome a bunch of times too, because right now we're actually looking right here at this globular cluster. We looked at M3 earlier. Did we look at M3? Yes, I think
you were at
we looked
M.
Yes, this is M3
13?
and
No.
M53. No, M53.
Okay.
Yeah, this.
I know it had a 3 in it.
Yeah, it did. It was this one here is kind of really. It's actually a really beautiful one, but I'd have to move the dome.
Parody.
I don't mind.
Get off your butt and do it.
I don't
Jeez.
mind.
I mean, we have all night, man.
Well, you do.
Oh yeah, I'm 4 cups of coffee in, so I can
you're
tell. Stuck with me now.
Oh, I can tell.
You thought it was all jokes. I know, Keith. You can go on if you want to. Well, now look what you got. Keith on hazelnut and vanilla bean coffee.
Hey, it's all right.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go move the dome.
Don't threaten us.
I'll be right.
I mean, yes,
back.
go ahead.
Hey, let me just check something first. Just make sure where I'm going. Oh, there's Arcturus.
Is that pewter ball or putter ball?
Pewter
I think
ball.
it's pewter ball.
Tina Pewter ball.
Pewter ball. I kind of figured that's what it was with the 1 T.
Yep. All right, you're gonna see I'm moving that telescope now.
And James, hello, James.
Yep.
And Tim. I think I said hi to Tim already,
You
but
did.
I'm gonna say hi again.
Yep.
And Katie.
You're hearing the telescope, right? Because you.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
we definitely are.
Yeah, and Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Oh, and Ronald. I see Ronald popped in.
You mean Robin Williams?
Ronald Robin Williams.
That's right.
And I think I just got a message on Skype from Amanda. She's been so sweet. She's been checking in on me since all this stuff, and I do appreciate it if she's listening.
Wow.
Such a sweetheart.
Yeah, she is. That's why she's my co-host on SkyTour Radio, because she's really quite an amazing person.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Doug, where are you going? Get your butt back here, Doug. You ain't going nowhere.
Well, he's going to bed. He said.
No, he's not.
He
He's
said
staying
so.
up and hanging out with us.
Yeah, I think I would like it, but I think
Doug?
I don't think he's going.
Get back here.
Oh yeah. Get back here now. Where do you
But he
think you're going?
excused you. You don't have a hall pass.
Oh. Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble in grammar school. I was sort of, troublemaker.
Dude, so everybody was stealing the bathroom keys when I was in school. My science teacher actually connected it to a fire hydrant on a dolly. No joke. It was a 500-pound fire hydrant with a key welded onto it that you literally had to drag to the bathroom with you.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was really funny until I ran into the 2 dogs in the hallway.
Yeah.
They were, service dogs, but
Yeah,
if they see a hydrant, what are dogs going to do? They're going to do exactly what you think they're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Spencer. The dogs peed all over the fire. The thingy.
He blamed
Sorry.
me.
Your key is really disgusting now. Sorry.
So my aim's not that bad.
Yeah. Well.
Oh well, what can you do?
Okay, we got.
College, right?
Yeah. There's M53. The dome's in the way. I gotta go move it.
All right, get her done.
I'll be right back.
And I'll say it in German for you. Grixkadoo.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay. I'll be right back.
Grixkadoo.
I can't hear you. Whatever you're saying.
Get your fetty head out there and fix the scope. And hello, Dan. And a mole. Ba-ba-da-boom, ba-da-ba-da-boom. Man, he is jamming in here, isn't he? I got the blues. Ding, 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 ding. Time for another cup of coffee. Yummy. Anyway, let me ask this while he's away. What do you guys want to look at tonight? You want to see some moon? You want to see some other stuff? Let me know. I'll guide him in that direction without him knowing I'm guiding him in that direction. How about that? Anybody? Oh, that's right. I gotta wait 30 seconds. Have you watched a launch live? No, I have not. We did have a plan to go down to Florida, the whole Astro Imaging Live crew and a couple other people. We were talking to Astronomy Live and Take Back Space, Chris at Take Back Space. We were all going to kind of meet down there and do a live thing. But it didn't end up being because of everything that was going on. But hopefully in the future we will. We'll have the whole crew down there and we'll do a live stream of one of the launches. So let's hope. Okay, hold on. I gotta write these down. Shoot, before he gets back. Okay, M3. Is that even visible right now? I think it is. Let's try it anyway. Oh my God, my pen doesn't work. All right, let me get a marker.
Watch it.
Hold on.
I'm
What?
back.
Shit, it's back, guys.
Yeah. Shh, quiet. Haha.
M8. Oh no, that's a second. Okay.
What happened to your voice? You're like low now.
What?
Oh, there you are.
I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
We're conspiring behind your back.
Well, what else is new?
Let's see. Okay, anybody else?
Cipher.
Yeah, I know, right? NGC 3628. Okay. NGC 3628. Okay.
You gonna make me move the telescope again?
No, I'm conspiring. You're just gonna have to play along for now.
Okay. No problem.
Guys, watch how smooth I do this. Okay. He's not even going to know I'm doing it. So, Mark, how about that M3?
We saw M3 already.
Okay, who was that? DK0018. We already seen that. DK. Thanks. He made me look like a... okay. Alright, you know what? I gotta get to class on time, so I don't do this again. Okay.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
So, what do you think about M83? Is it your kind of Messier object?
You can tell who knows the night sky, when you come here.
Yeah.
It's no problem. I mean, I understand.
Dan sold my scope. Why'd you sell my scope, dude? It's not nice. Which one?
Oh.
Let's see here.
There we go. Look at that. That's a really pretty cluster.
Hey, what do you think about Mr. Musk still shooting for Mars on his time frame?
Well, it was a big win to put 2 astronauts up on the ISS.
I agree, but totally not what I asked you.
Well, no, it actually is a lead-in to the next part, which is
okay,
because it was such a win for him.
Mm-hmm.
His schedule is not going to be held back. I mean, that big silver spaceship blew up again. It's like it's starting to look like a Coyote Roadrunner cartoon.
Oh, I know, dude. And I was thinking, like, man, is this vertical footage of the Hindenburg?
Yeah.
But yeah. But you know what? As long as he keeps having wins, he can say whatever he wants.
Yeah,
because he's putting his money in his mouth where his mouth was.
In tech, yes, I get it. So the funny thing is, okay, if it was a government program, they would have congressional oversight, and Congress would have been after them to go through, and they would have been slowed down for months and months and months. Okay.
Oh, I know, especially with the stimulus just going out. They
I
were
know.
like, nope, sorry, can't do it for another 10 years.
So you know what? Elon can launch another Muskenberg, and it'll just, if it blows up on the pad, so what? You know?
And it's so funny when them things come down, like one of them doesn't land or it like goes off in the ocean. It's so funny, like he can just sit there and go, whoops.
That's right. And he goes, yeah, it's okay. It didn't land, but we got our astronauts up there safely. But actually, that did come back.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
And that's what's beautiful about private enterprise.
Yeah.
And that's why
33%, you know, didn't come home.
I'm a bit. Well, no, they do.
Yeah.
Now think about it though. All those failures led to the successes, right? So,
yeah, but you know what this is going to do with him having all these successes? I think Blue Origin's going to start luring people away. I really do.
Maybe, but you know, Blue Origin, you know, their spacecraft, you know, arguably is not as interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
But speaking of somebody that has money to throw around,
yeah, I know.
Like, you know, I can almost guarantee that Jeff Bezos' toilet paper is at least 5-ply. Like, that's how much money we're talking. Like,
yeah, maybe so.
He, like, once he's starting to see the success Elon Musk is having on a budget, having to stay and actually putting his companies into that budget with, you know, Tesla and whatnot. I see Bezos starting to look at that going, you know.
People want...
Granted, not as charismatic as Elon Musk, but Elon Musk is Iron Man. I'm convinced. I mean...
Charismatic?
Yeah, like, well, a quiet kind of charismatic. Like, he doesn't really come off that way, but you can see it just in his face. Like, he's, told you. You know what I mean? Like, I knew I could do this. You were even doubting me? Well, even though 2 or 1 of the 3 didn't, you know, hit its mark 5 times. But still.
I mean, I thought when I was watching one of the Musk's shots come down, again, unmanned satellites, the satellite gets to space, and then, you know, the Falcon 9 is coming back down to the pad.
Slaver just said 5-ply is a bath towel.
That's right.
Yeah, probably one of them rough ones from like a, you know, what do you call it, Motel 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, when he was coming down to the drone ship, the of course I still love you, drone ship.
Love you too, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Hey, it's okay. When you talk about that and you look at that, you think about what's going on there, and all the things that could go wrong, and you see the light of the engine, you know, as it's approaching the drone ship. Then all of a sudden, it just goes wonky and it disappears, and then it's like signal cut out.
I love that scientific term, wonky.
Yeah. And
what
then
happened, sir? Well, see, we were running the orbital trajectory period, and all of a sudden something went wonky.
Right, we're in the terminal phase of our landing thrusters, and we're right in that T-17 burn, and all of a sudden it went all wonky.
Antenna fell off then, and
it's like,
we just kind of lost it.
We got a little problem up there.
You know. Yes, sirree, and you know, 14.
Really, you don't think Blue Origin's gonna like emerge as like, you know, a direct competitor to SpaceX?
I don't know. Their ship kind of looks like a tall deodorant stick. I mean, it doesn't really.
You know what it really does? Okay.
Don't say it.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It appeals to people on a variety of levels.
It does. Let's just say.
Oh,
okay,
satellite!
okay,
Just zip through. Did you see the satellite go through live, guys? Went right through there.
Yeah, seen it.
Yep.
Blue Origin's rocket.
It was Blue Origin's rocket, actually.
Like, you ever see like one? Okay, how do I put this? Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's not the best looking rocket.
It is the best looking view, I have to tell you that.
You ever see like one of those how do I put this? Eggs on a stick?
Yeah.
That you know, that are used for private enterprise.
Slow down. Slow down.
I'm going here. I'm putting it out there.
Yeah, no,
it's not the best looking rocket around.
It is not.
What do they call the
Wow.
What does Elon call the big rocket? The big effing rocket. The BFR. Is that what it is?
The BF. Yeah, the BF. Is it BFR?
I think it is. I think it's BFR for big. You know, rocket.
Yeah, right.
And that's the one with the 3 three. Man, why is this escaping me now? The 3 booster rockets.
Oh yeah, that's the
Bleh.
yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. That's the Falcon Heavy.
Yes, the Falcon Heavy. Yeah, that which was originally named the VFR
That's right.
by Elon Musk himself,
Yeah,
Mr. Cruz.
and then it was called the Center Core, was the big one in the middle, of course.
Yes.
And then the 2 Falcon 9s strapped to the Center Core. They lost the Center Core on that BFR launch. When they tried that, the other 2 came down together. It was like just a beautiful landing, watching these 2 rockets land side by side, just a few hundred feet apart from each other.
I know.
I just thought
Science
that was
is great,
fantastic.
isn't it?
Oh, I just love it. It was great. And
Especially when things go right.
yes, right. That's correct. And you know what I really like? I like that this last launch of Doug and Bob. Okay, I think that's what their names were. The astronauts to the ISS. Yes, they were astronauts. They were Air Force, etc., and astronauts. But you know what? They did nothing. They were just there for the ride, and they knew how to take over should anything go wrong. But think about it. It looked like a luxury car inside. It didn't have sticks, joysticks, controls. It was all flat screen panel.
Oh yeah, it was not sardine can Apollo stuff. It was
No.
Gemini for that matter. But
It was definitely luxury car sedan to space.
yeah, and you know what that tells me? Like, look how far technology has come, even just with the simplest thing. Like, I'm going to say simplest things, but they're actually really very, very intricate. But like with spacesuits, and like look at the the late '80s spacesuits. They were big, bulky, barely move.
Yep.
And now, yes, they're still a little bulky, but
Yep.
you're able to move around. They're maneuverable. They're
Yep.
and it's just like if somebody wants $1 million company right now, start making spacesuits.
I guess
thin
that's
as you
true.
can make them,
Yeah.
as but still temperature control, pressure control.
Yeah. By the way, just gonna say hi to DK0018 and said hi to you, and C&D Boy. Hi, welcome from Canada.
C&D Boy.
Yeah, welcome from Canada.
This
is Messier 3. We looked at it before, but check it out. Okay, this thing is just beautiful. It's. I mean, how can you miss this? Look at it. It's right here. It's really stunning. I absolutely love this cluster. It
what
shows.
is it?
This is Messier 3.
Messier 3.
Yeah. We saw it before, but we're gonna look at M3 again. Look at these beautiful stars.
Yeah, thanks.
This
dude.
is well. Hey,
He wasn't here either. See, we both missed it, so you're forgiven.
hey, what can I say?
That was
But now, look, if we look and just push it over a little bit, okay. If you look at these other stars here that are all around here, like these 2 stars, like down below me here, okay, those are stars that are probably in our foreground, and like this guy right here, probably here, okay, right, where we are, and that cluster is way far away, much further away. So those stars are probably not part of that cluster. All right, so we're seeing what are called foreground stars, and that's what happens here. If you notice that, oh, remember I told you about the satellite? Look at that. Look at that.
I'm looking at YouTube. Are you sharing your screen with me? Should I be looking at that?
Yeah, that's probably better, because then you won't be like
bad.
10 to 20 to 30 to 4 minutes behind.
Really? Wow.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let me see what I can do here.
Yeah.
Okay, just like that there. Okay, yeah, that's a lot clearer. Wow.
Yeah, a little bit, just a little, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, we do capture a lot of things here. Now, one thing that I like about this cluster, these 2 stars are in the cluster, but look at those. Those are beautiful. A little pair right there. There, those beautiful stars. Now, those stars are also probably, farther. One's closer to us than the other one. Okay, they're probably separated by distance, and so forth. But they have an apparent line of sight. They're like a visual binary type thing, whereas they're all over the place in this cluster. You can see many different pairings of stars. They all look like they're pairs. But
I still can't get over the fact that we're looking back in time. That's just still, every time I see you do this stuff, it's just like, it blows my mind.
Well, okay, this cluster, right, is 33,000 light years away. No, 39,000 light years away, almost 40,000 light years away. So you're seeing these stars in the past 40,000 years. I mean, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yep. And you figure, you go back and you look at our planet. Okay, you look at some of the stars in Orion, okay?
I'm sorry, I just seen my Skype picture.
Oh, yeah.
On your screen.
Yes. Show it on the...
Oh, my bad.
Your Skype picture is really funny.
Oh, boy.
You gotta show. You should show people your Skype thing. I don't think you can show it, though.
Yeah, I don't think I showed the picture part anyway. But yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I seen that and I was like, what the heck is that? And I was like, oh crap, that's me.
Yeah, he used a special effect to make his face look like a practically like a fetus
Well,
or
that's where
something.
you get the
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, it's like every time. Just think about that. Every time you stare into space, you're looking basically into a time machine.
Yeah, you are. These stars that you're looking at up here, they're like, they're far away, and you're looking at them way back in time here.
And besides the moon, for a little, I mean, yes, a little bit, but everything you see, planets, the sun, it doesn't matter. Every time you look up into the cosmos, you're looking in through a time machine.
That's right.
You know, even the sun is what, 8 seconds?
8 minutes.
8 minutes. I'm sorry.
Mr. Scholar, yeah.
It's crazy.
It is 8 minutes, yeah. And then if you think about it, okay, when we look at like any cluster, however far away, all right, that's how far we're looking at the Orion Nebula as it was 1,600 years ago. Okay, that's relatively close by, right?
But think about this. There's a chance that a lot of this stuff isn't even there anymore.
Well, it's not.
For the further stuff away, you know.
Yeah, no, like this cluster here is not in that spot anymore. It's moved, okay, because it's moving in an orbit around the galaxy. It's a halo object, so it actually goes through the galaxy. And some of these things, like I said before, they pass through our galactic disk, and as they do that, they shed stars, and sometimes pick up stars.
And like when you do talks and stuff, that's like one of the big questions. I don't know for you, but I know when we've done a couple. That people are trying to wrap their head around, how people say, well, if our optics get good, one day we'll be able to see the beginnings of the universe, the beginnings of,
Yeah, and
our what is it called, a cosmic horizon?
Well, it's basically, people want to see back to the moment it all started.
Exactly, and it's like, how do you do that? Well, that's exactly how, the speed of light.
Well, but we'll never be able to do that because, unfortunately, at the very beginning, the universe was opaque. All right, there was way too much.
But how do we know that?
Well, because we study the cosmic microwave background, the CMB, and the cosmic microwave background is the 3-degree Kelvin radiation. And beyond that, trying to look back in time, we see that the universe was opaque, meaning it was so high temperature, so high energy that all the atomic particles that were created were moving so fast and so energetic that you could not see past them. They would not allow light through effectively. So that made this universe opaque back then. And it was only until several 100,000 years after the birth of the universe that the universe began to become transparent. And that's when the first light came through. And we can see as far back as just about 350,000 years after the Big Bang. We cannot see the moment it started. And that's a physical law that stopped that from us having to see
Mark,
that.
have you realized the last comments in your chat here? You see what everybody's talking about? You have Katie that says time is relative. Genghis, time is a piece of wax. Everybody's talking about time. Remember this old debate that we had a couple years ago? I'm
sorry, Keith. I can't hear you. I've got sunspots.
So you do remember?
I remember you talking about time.
Yes. And it was a very interesting subject to me.
It's actually a very interesting subject to everybody.
Should I ask these guys what they think?
I would never stop you, Keith. You're one of my good friends, and I think that you can have the floor.
Okay. Listen, a couple years ago.
Okay, that's enough. No, go ahead.
Me and Mark got into a conversation that turned into a long conversation that turned into a battle that turned into a fist fight that turned into weapons.
Yeah, luckily I won. I had the
situation.
I had
now,
the bigger
I'm not going
weapons.
to go into it again, obviously, because we know where we stand on this. But here's what I was saying, here's what Mark was saying. Okay. Well, I don't know what Mark was saying. I wasn't listening. But here's what I was saying. When people talk about dimensions.
Oh, I can hang up on this Skype call with Keith right
absolutely.
now.
Just hear me out, people. Just hear me out. That's all I'm asking.
Go ahead.
When people talk about dimensions, you have the first dimension, second dimension, the third dimension, right? Third dimension is 3. Basically left, right, up, down. We got it. 3 dimensions.
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z axis.
4 dimensions when you consider time.
People have said that time may be the 4th dimension.
Not maybe, it is the 4th dimension.
It is the 4th dimension.
Yes.
Now, if you go based on, the previous 3 dimensions, each one of those dimensions encompasses something from the previous dimensions that we classify as dimensions. Okay? So, wouldn't you think that time, being the 4th dimension, would also have to be linear, forward and backward? Obviously, that's what we're seeing. But maybe the 4th part of that dimension is actually parallel universes to be what our 3rd dimension is down here. So a 3rd dimension in the 4th dimension would be a parallel universe, and then of course time itself. But Mark got into talk about how time is linear and all that stuff. But I'm saying, is it possible that time isn't the 4th dimension? Or if it is, should it incorporate dimensional specifics that we have incorporated for the past 3? It's a really nerdy conversation. I get it. But it was very, very, very well done by me, I might say.
If you say so yourself. Well, that's what 4 Cups of Coffee does for folks. Sometimes people, they actually they go off on these tears where the arguments can be circular at times, kind of like the universe. And actually to say that...
See? Katie, that's my girl. Katie, see? Mm-hmm. But Mark says I'm wrong and I'm stupid. No, and then he said I couldn't read good.
And where did this happen?
In pity points here, man.
In what dimension did I say that? Because it certainly wasn't in the 4 dimensions that I know.
Yeah. I find time fascinating, and Mark, you know this. I mean, I could discuss like time loops and linear time and different dimensional times running in parallel, stuff like that. So it's anytime you want to talk time, I'm your guy. I'll talk time with you all day long because I find time fascinating. Just think about it.
Well,
when you ever feel really stupid,
you're not the only one.
Or you had a lot of cups of coffee, think about how time works.
You're not the only one though that puzzles over time. I mean, if you saw the movie Interstellar, they dealt with time as well, and the consultant for that movie, of course, was Kip Thorne, astrophysicist, right? Now, I've told you this before. You know this, Keith. I sat with Kip Thorne some years ago, and we had a talk about black holes, and he basically said that you could see as you're approaching a black hole, there's a point where you can actually see your ship that you're in exiting the white hole counterpart to a black hole before you actually enter the black hole, or at the point where you're starting to enter the black hole, you see your ship coming out. And that represented effectively like a rip in time. It really wasn't. It was more of it had to do with information transfer. Okay, that's what he was really talking about.
Right.
And Stephen Hawking, he had this argument with Hawking and discussion. He said this could happen, and Hawking said, no, I don't think so. And they each wrote each other an argument for it and against it. And Kip Thorne read Hawking's response, and Hawking read Thorne's response and rebuttal, not rebuttal, but his argument. And they ended up switching positions. Thorne said, oh, you're right, Stephen, you're absolutely right. And Hawking said, actually, no, you're right, Kip, you're right. So they couldn't agree. So really we're talking about a concept. The concept of time is based on observations, moment to moment. And neither Hawking nor Thorne could agree on how time actually worked in that situation, and how information transfer actually could occur. He was so sure until he wasn't, and you could say that about the other person too. He was so sure until he wasn't, right? So even the greatest minds on planet Earth are still quibbling and troubled over how time actually functions and what time actually means.
Like
no,
how
I agree.
gravity plays into it, and it's mind-boggling, but it's very interesting to think about.
Well, here's, you know what, the gravity question for me, the part that you're excited about time like this, and I really agree with that. But one of the things about gravity, which I think that we haven't really considered, is what gravity actually does to space. Now, everybody hears the fact that a black hole is so powerful that not even light can escape its gravity, and everybody just takes that for granted. Oh wow, that's cool, that's why it's black, you know. Except light doesn't have mass, and mass is the only thing that determines whether gravity can affect it or not.
So a photon doesn't have mass.
No. And therefore, when you watch how gravity keeps a photon from leaving a black hole, how could that happen if a photon isn't subject to gravity?
Right.
Yeah. Well, the way it happens is that you're asking yourself the wrong question. You shouldn't ask the question, what does a black hole do to a photon? You ask, what does a black hole do to space itself? And what's happening to space itself, which we all think is nothingness, right? And when we're kids,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Define space.
Exactly. Okay, that's the question. Space is a construct. Space,
void of matter? Void of mass?
Space.
Or, no.
Okay, here's the thing. I can explain what we talk about space. We talk about the time-space continuum, right? You've heard that phrase a million times, and so you say the words, but you don't know what it means.
I'm a Trekkie.
Exactly. Okay. And actually, Gene Roddenberry was quite a smart man. Okay, the concept of warp drive.
Smart.
The concept of warp drive was drawn upon from early scientific research that was done, and now the concept of a warp drive is a real concept. Thank you, Miguel Alcubierre, in 1994. So, with this backdrop of this beautiful Messier 3 in front of us, if we think about what gravity does to space and what space is a representation that we can only understand through mathematics. The universe speaks the language of mathematics. All right, and so when we speak the language that the universe speaks, we can understand how a black hole affects the very space we see, and how dark matter affects the space we see. A black hole actually bends the space itself, and like a car riding on a hill, okay, a car goes up the hill because the hill goes up, car goes down the hill because the hill goes down, okay, a photon is the car, and the bends in the space that the black hole creates are the hills. So a photon follows space in the same way a car follows a bumpy, hilly road. So it's the old ant on the fishing line thing. What's the ant in the fishing line?
So you stretch out a fishing line, you have an ant crawling along the fishing line.
Yeah.
Well, the ant goes upside down, but it's still walking, but doesn't realize it's upside down. So it's operating in the space that's provided, not the space is providing the space for the ant. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you unnecessarily confuse the issue a little bit more. I think the simplest approach is to think of a car on a hilly road.
Yeah, okay. But I've seen hills, there's weird spots in this world that, looks like you're going up, but you drift backwards.
No.
That's weird.
I'm just talking about whatever you do, whatever you're doing in a car, the car just follows the road. Mm-hmm. And that's what light does. A photon of light just follows the road. And the road, in this case, is the space fabric, the fabric of space. And if there's a big a big deep hole because of a black hole, then the photon's going to go down that well. The same way. So
here's what we get to. This is where I'm losing you.
And that's why a photon cannot escape a black hole sometimes. It gets past the point where space is so warped that the photon is continuously spinning around inside the black hole. And that's why the photon can't escape. It's not because the gravity is so strong that the light can't escape. The light could certainly escape if it didn't have to travel and follow the contours of space, but it does.
But here's the thing, and we hear scientists use this a lot, so maybe you can explain it. The term fabric of space.
Mathematical construct.
Okay, so it's basically a mathematical construct of a fabric of
the
the
nature.
So what's your thoughts on dark matter then?
That's exactly okay. That's the next point. In the
Is
same
that the
way,
fabric?
no, yes, actually, in the same way that a black hole bends space and can bend the fabric of space, and then light follows that path, dark matter is something that is pushing space apart everywhere. So when we see the universe expanding, all right, I did this analogy where you had a balloon that was deflated, and you took this deflated balloon and put a bunch of dots on it. And when you blow up the balloon, as it blows up the balloon, every single dot is moving away from every single other dot on the surface of the balloon. Okay, in a sense, that is what dark matter is doing. It's causing everything in space to move away from everything else.
Without making the dots bigger.
Without making the dots bigger, that's correct. Actually, it's a
So there was so much in the beginning of the universe for it to be constantly expanding.
Well, it was after the Big Bang, there was nothing to stop it, right? Remember the early days, we thought, well, as the universe is expanding, there's going to be so much matter inside that's going to eventually slow down and then start to come back because the gravity is going to pull it all back together. And that was called the oscillating universe. Boom, boom, boom. Over many, many tens of billions of years, the universes, all of them, however many there were, would shrink and then blow up, shrink and blow up. Well, it turns out that now we see that the constant acceleration outward of the universe, okay, the velocity of recession, okay, the Hubble constant that was created by research from Edwin Hubble in 1929, okay, it turns out that the constant expansion isn't constant. In fact, this expansion that we thought was a known factor. You say, well, it was just that many, kilometers per second or whatever. Well, we saw with the Planck telescope now and through other means that the rate is actually accelerated. Wait a minute, what? It means that the rate of expansion of the universe is more than we thought. It's accelerating every moment, higher and higher. Now, what does that mean? It means, for one thing, right off the bat, the universe is not as old as we think it is. Because if it's accelerating, we've been operating on the age of the universe as being a certain acceleration rate, a certain constant, the Hubble constant, right? Is that rate of expansion of the universe. But it's not constant. It's accelerating. So it means that the universe is younger because we take what we see and work back at that slow speed that Hubble came up with. And we find that the expansion rate is, if it was constant, it gives us an age of the universe of 13.8 billion years.
So we're literally back engineering the universe.
It's exactly right. That's what cosmologists do. Astronomers tell you what that thing is in the sky. This is a globular cluster, and it's made of 50,000 stars. Astrophysicists tell you how they work, and the dynamics of the orbits are such that they do this. And then cosmologists say, why do they exist?
And then they tell you your horoscope.
and none of them tell you the horoscope. Shame on you. So when we look at the Big Bang and so forth, when we look at the expansion of the universe, we thought it was at a constant rate. Since 1929, everything in our physics, everything in our cosmology and our astrophysics depended on the Hubble constant. Now we find out the Hubble constant isn't, and it's accelerating. Now, what does that mean? It means, first of all, like I said, instead of 13.8 billion years old, the universe might be more like 12.6, 12.5 billion years old. The data is still out there. We're not sure. But now the question is, okay, if it's really expanding at an accelerating rate, then why is it expanding at an accelerating rate? What's causing it? And the only the hunt was on to find out.
Chemtrails.
It was chemtrail. Exactly right. No, you could not be further from the truth. It was actually this thing called dark energy, actually. Not dark matter, but dark energy.
Okay.
Dark energy
let's
is...
define dark energy for everybody.
Okay, as I said before, I did. Dark energy is what's causing space to expand away from itself in every direction. Okay?
Is it one of those things like the fabric where it's just a mathematical
That's
thing?
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And now, when you talk about dark energy and dark matter, people often...
See you later, Katie.
Katie's going? Katie Q's leaving? Hey, all right, Katie. Thank you for coming. Great to see you.
Oh, she said she's going. She hopes that we are still on when she gets back.
Okay. Well, look, maybe we will be. But you know, when we talk about dark matter and dark energy, you don't want to confuse the two.
Why did YouTube flag his comment? That's so dumb. Just because he used letters. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, David.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm glad you allowed that through, because that was a simple, silly comment. See you later, he said. See you later, Katie. Boy.
Weird.
Yeah. So you don't want to confuse dark energy and dark matter. They're two different things for two different reasons. Now, dark matter is even more interesting, because when we look at galaxies and we look at how galaxies rotate, we looked at, say, the model of the solar system and say, well, maybe galaxies work that way. The planets closest to the sun, Mercury, okay, and Venus, they orbit the sun faster than the Earth, than Jupiter, Mars, and so Mars, Jupiter, etc., because they're closer. So closer to the center, they have to orbit faster to maintain their orbit. Farther away, not so much, and they can actually go nice and slow and easy. So when you look at how galaxies rotate, you kind of looked at it in the same way. You said, well, maybe galaxies rotate this way too. Stars closer to the center, the center nucleus, actually rotate faster around the center than the stars farther away.
Well, we know the universe is expanding. Do you think it's also rotating?
Well, that's a whole nother question, actually. It has to do with the homogeneity of how it is expanding. But let's stick with this dark matter here for a minute, and galactic rotation. We think that the ones closest to the center should go faster around the core of the galaxy. The farther away should be less, right? Stars. Turns out that no, that's not what we see. The galaxy is sort of like, kind of like a somewhat of a rigid disk. So the stars near the center are moving at one rate, and the stars on the outside are moving very, very fast to kind of maintain a sort of a rate like a rigid disk. And that is something that's absolutely mind-blowing, because it means that there's no way that physics works this way. And at first you say Newtonian kinematics is ruined. We don't understand the simplest kinematics. But it doesn't turn out to be true if you can use something called dark matter. What's dark matter? Well, that's what we're hunting for. Dark matter is a halo, potentially, if it really exists. It's a halo of additional material made of some matter other than typical baryons, which are like, muons, gluons, and so on, the regular atomic materials. Okay. And it's acting like some type of mass center that actually is helping to pull along the stars and make them rotate as a more or less a rigid disk. That's a fascinating development. So we have dark energy and dark matter, which I think are fudge factors for something we still don't understand. How about that? That's my feeling. I don't think we understand it. And I think that's what's going on here. So really, when we talk about dark matter and dark energy, we can talk till we're blue in the face about theories, but we're really not terribly sure. There's a dark energy telescope that's trying to find dark energy, and there's dark matter searches on now to try and find the dark matter.
That's why I like to ask these questions, because let's say 2 weeks from now, some kid that's like, say, 14 years old is watching this, and all of a sudden he gets just our dumb little conversation gets him thinking, and all of a sudden he becomes the next, astrophysicist and dedicates his life to figuring it out.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. That's all good. SkyTour LiveStream, P&K Space Imaging, Build New York Skywatcher. We don't exist to glorify ourselves. We exist to glorify the science and the objects that we look at. And if we get something out of it, great. And if not, well, it's okay, because we're not doing this for any other reason than we want to literally be an outreach service on
and
science.
The government paychecks.
Well, as we know, science is getting really short-circuited in a lot of school systems. You know, you ask people about science and they don't really know science. It's like, what made that a taboo subject? You know?
Well, yeah. And, you know, I hate to say it, but YouTube is really should hold some of the accountability for that.
Maybe.
But once again, in the name of free speech, it's
maybe so.
Know, what can you do?
Well, you can certainly figure something out here, you know.
You could, but then you know you border that line of, you know, you got to always know where to draw the line. I guess that's their biggest problem.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube has done some pretty wonky things. Facebook has done crazy things. Throw me in Facebook jail for nothing. You remember? Remember YouTube? YouTube said I violated community guidelines by putting up a video that wasn't there. I mean, how do you fight that? Jeez.
We got a live stream taken down just because, you know, why not? Right in the middle of the live stream. It's just we were doing a solar stream and they just said, "Oh, you violated our guidelines." So when I went and tried to appeal it, it said this video doesn't need appealed. It's basically like it was never flagged. I'm like, what?
Well then, if it was never flagged, then why would it?
Exactly. Why did they take it right off the air? You know, but
could that have just been a glitch?
Yeah, they're thinking it was, but who knows?
Yeah. And what if Mercury was transiting the sun and you lost that wonderful stream, huh?
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's a good one. We live for stuff like that. Lunar eclipses, solar eclipses.
Yeah.
Transits.
That's right.
You know?
I totally agree. I mean,
look what happened at the last lunar eclipse. You know, you guys caught that meteor impact. You know, that was a great day for online, you know, telescopes and stuff. Where Mark caught it and the Griffith Observatory caught it, and
and you just missed it. I mean, you were zoomed in just at the wrong moment. Oh God, I felt terrible for you because you know what? Of all people to get it, you should have got it.
But that's okay. At least somebody did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you should have caught that. You know, of all people to catch it, you should have caught it. You know. And I ain't talking a disease. I'm talking about the meteor impact on the moon. Yeah. Pretty good.
But still, it was a great day because we were able to literally just about, you know, cross-reference and confirm it live.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
And that's very rare. And that's what I was saying because what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago, this video came out. And everybody was all hype on it. And of course, the third phases of the world. And I think even the security team, you know, got out of prison to make a video about it.
Third phase of the moon, you mean?
Yeah, and there's these 3 little, you know, these little things flying over the surface, and they were casting shadows on the moon and everything. And it's
I analyzed that and found it to be a complete fake.
Yeah, but everybody disregarded the one thing that totally made it not true, which is at any given time, you have hundreds of people looking at the moon.
Yep.
Any given time. Any given part of the world. If one person caught it, you better be damn sure that at least 2 or 3 others did as well.
Yeah,
and there was no such video anywhere except for that one. And then you analyze it and you realize that it's very easy for somebody with the know-how to CGI, and that's exactly what it was.
Yep, that's clear. Yeah, and it was just such a dumb video, you know. It was actually badly done.
It's almost like they heard us talking about that before, Mark. Like we said, well, you can tell it's not close to the moon because it doesn't have a shadow, and all of a sudden, you know, this video comes out, these these things are projected, and it, you know, and then we did have some good science web sleuths going out like, okay, they did the math, they triangulated it, they figured out it was going 300,000 miles an hour, you know, and they were sleuthing it up, but you know, people were still unsure. But that's your number one thing, you know, especially when it comes to the moon. There's always somebody watching. Always.
That's right. You're gonna always you're always going to have someone watching the moon, and it's never going to be the other way around. You know, it's never going to be like they're going to catch something, and that's kind of weird thing. You know, there's programs that are constantly watching the moon. In Spain, there's a program to constantly watch the moon because they're looking for signs of meteor impacts on the moon.
There's a channel here on YouTube. That's all they do is stream the moon.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's called PK Space Imaging.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's me.
Remember that?
But I'm just saying, like, that's what's awesome, especially when we started Astro Imaging Live.
Yeah.
Because we know you don't do the moon a lot, but you go over and take a peek at it here and there. So if we did find something, we'd like to, you know, cross-reference that with other people. That's why, you know, Take Back Space is so important. That's why you're important. That's why Bill's important. That's why, you know, Ray's astrophotography is so, like, these people, because sometimes when we're not watching, they are.
That's right.
And we can, you know, confirm with one another, and that's what makes it great. And as I said, if something does cross the moon or something like that actually did happen, you're going to have numerous people captured from different angles.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And that's the most important thing. And, you know, whenever you see someone showing something, like there's a channel that will remain nameless, I commend the guy for his efforts, but what he's doing is putting out information based on a lack of understanding, and says, you know, there's atmosphere on the moon and all that stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, how can they do that, you know?
It's the same one saying there's just clouds.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. It's really just terrible. And but you know what? I commend them for looking up. I really do. It could be that he isn't looking. He could be he's not looking up, but he is. And
I mean, God forbid we're looking at the moon on the same night and something happens where I actually have to swallow my pride and, you know, send an email.
Yeah.
Saying, yo, dude, okay, did you happen to be looking at this at this time?
Yeah.
You know, but I would do it in the name of science.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, if I knew that he was the only other one watching at that time, no matter what kind of crap he was putting out, I would say, okay, in the name of science, I'm going to email, find out if this is.
I'm with you on that. With you on that. We're actually, I went to this star. This is actually a nice little double star. And we are in the constellation of Bootes. And this particular star is called Rho Bootes, and we're looking at this star here, and it's actually a double star.
I'm going to go refill my drinky poo.
Okay, you can go right ahead, and I will be right here doing my telescopy poo.
Get her done. Rick Skidoo.
Rick Skidoo. Yeah, so anyway, you can see the star here, guys. I mean, it has a little component right there. That little guy is a second little star that goes with this one. And you'll see that the two stars, and this is the thing about stars, which I think is really fascinating. One of the things about looking at a star in the sky is this. You see this star, it looks like it's like this big, right? You'll say, oh, the star is this big in the sky, and that little one's only that big. Guess what? They're both just tiny points of light. They both are. They're so far away, they're tiny points of light. And stars are ever only points of light. They look big like this because they saturate our detectors on our cameras, and so they actually look bigger than they are. They're really not this big. They're tiny points of light, but they're so bright as tiny points of light that they do this on our cameras. Okay, and so what we're looking at are two objects that are the same size in the sky. Same size. But this one's just more intense than that one. So we see them as two different things based on our sensors. Okay? If you could see stars at the size they are, I think you'd be pretty astonished at how much light is coming in from these guys. So when you see the double star like this, you know, and we look at these components here, this star is actually that much brighter than the secondary up there. Okay, and that's because obviously this spectral type is you know, of course, very dependent on what they are for spectral type. Let's actually look at their spectral type here for a second. Let's check it out. Let me see what we got. Okay, it's a double star, and Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, this particular star is it's an orange star. It's a K3, and it's a Type 3, a luminosity class 3, Roman numeral 3, I. And that means it's a giant. Okay, not a supergiant, but a giant star. And as a giant, it's going to have a lot of surface area to, transmit light from, and those always make the stars look a lot bigger. Looks like I have a tail back there, but I don't. I swear, it's actually the edge of my microphone that you're seeing there. It looks like a tail. Weird. Anyway, so this is a K3, K Roman numeral 3 star, and this little guy next to it is probably just an ordinary smaller star. I'm trying to see if there's any information that tells us about that. Yeah, it doesn't tell us. Doesn't tell us. But the bottom line is, we could look this star up and get all that information. It's just really interesting. And I love double stars for this very reason. It's really cool. Ow, they're hot too. You gotta stay away from them. They're a little warm. So they're very cool. So now what I'll do is I'll find another fun place to go here in just a sec. You can see where we're looking in the dome. We're actually looking out over this location here. We're kind of looking a little bit to the right of the slot, so we can actually go to the left a little bit, and I won't have to move things around too much. Right? So let's do that. Okay, go back and check this out. And if you have any questions, please do go ahead and put them in. Go ahead and put them in. And everything's the same here with SkyTour LiveStream. This is our typical view. We have the telescope control system here, telescope infrared camera, me. This is the planetarium program, and then behind it is the camera control cluster. So this all affords us the ability to control what you see, check everything out, and have a really good time together. And I hope you appreciate it. I think most of you do. And Tina, yeah, the color is pretty, very pretty. And if you could hit the like button, that would be wonderful. I would love to get some great likes. Very happy to do this for you. Let's go back and see where else we want to look, because I know that we're here, and this is Booties. And as we back out a little bit, maybe what we can do is let's go down here and see if we can capture the snow globe cluster. It's actually interesting as a snow globe cluster. It's called the Ghost Globular Cluster, also known as NGC 5466. It's an odd object. I haven't looked at it too much to believe it or not. You'll see the stars zip away. There they go. As we now head down. And there you go. The telescope is moving. You can see it moving right there. Okay. And now we're bringing in a star that we know and love. It's called Arcturus. It's the brightest star in Booties, and it's being used as the guide star to take us to the snow globe cluster. And there we are. Now the snow globe cluster's here, and Keith, you are back, aren't you?
So a snow globe is in Booties?
Yes. The snow globe's wearing its booties.
Not where I was going, but okay.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so. All right, so we are back live with it, and let's check out whether. Okay, you have to wait around 11 seconds for the telescope to acquire a guide star, and then we can check things out. Oh, James, thanks for putting the book in there. That's very nice.
Mark, why do you look different?
I have my red light on. I've shaved off my
No.
mustache and beard. I've lost 17 pounds. I mean, all true.
No. Didn't you used to wear glasses?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have my Coke bottles. I have these are my Clark Kents. Okay.
I think that's what it is.
See, these are my Clark Kent glasses. That's my glasses. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now you look like Mark again.
Okay, but I don't
That's
need
what
them.
it was.
I don't need them to read. Okay, I can see to read, but I need them for far away. So
like galaxies and stuff.
Wah! No.
Ba-dum-ts.
Yibrumts. And check it out. So this is why it's called the snow globe cluster, because it has now it's classified as a globular cluster. But check it out. Maybe this cluster is telling us something about the evolution of globulars, for all we know. Because in globular clusters, we expect to see a concentration of stars here. But there's nothing in here. We don't see any concentration. You know, and all the others we have. So it's kind of weird. And so that may mean that this particular cluster represents something of an evolution for a globular cluster. Now, there's an awful lot of things that when we look at globular clusters, an awful lot of things we can tell about them. We know that the stars, as I said earlier tonight, don't have anything pretty much but hydrogen and helium in their atmospheres and inside their cores. They're really, really old stars, created at a time when the universe didn't have a whole lot of other elements for a star to contain in its spectrum. All right. So there weren't a lot of elements being fused into other elements by that point. So most of the stars were literally just hydrogen and helium with maybe a couple other elements at most. And that was it. You know? So what about these clusters? Why globular clusters at all? I think that the way globular clusters look is actually quite fascinating to me. Because you don't really know... We don't really know how they formed. They had to form from absolutely immense knots of gas in the universe, you know. But why are they in galaxies? Why are they halo objects that orbit galaxies? We can see them when we look at Messier 33 in Triangulum. We can see with our telescope, and we've seen them, the globular clusters in that galaxy. And they're circling the galaxy. They're orbiting the galaxy. They're going down into the disk and then up again. And they go around the nucleus. Why? What made them? That's something that we don't understand fully yet. I don't think that there's... it's one of those great mysteries of the universe right now. You know? And this one is sort of a transitional globular. It might mean something for the evolution of a globular cluster. So when we look at a globular cluster, we're seeing basically something created in the early universe. They're ancient, very ancient.
Ancient glob.
An ancient glob, exactly so. Exactly right. Yep.
So why do they call it a snow globe? Because it's kind of scattered? Or what?
Well, yes, because it doesn't have that concentration.
Oh, so it's like somebody shook a snow globe.
Yeah, exactly. And there's
okay.
no... Yeah, so it's called the snow globe.
Gotcha.
Yep. So I just think it's a pretty fascinating cluster, to be honest with you. And now, also, what I'd like to do is... I would like to find our way to another object. And we're near Arcturus right now, and I know that down here we have some galaxies, but unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see them with the moon. It won't be too nice. We saw the Rose cluster earlier. So what I'd like to do is take us over. We saw 10 and 12. We have Rossalhagi, which is kind of a cool star. I like saying the name.
You say Russell Hockey?
Rossalagi.
Oh,
Rossalagi, see it?
gotcha.
Yeah. Yes. Rossalagi. Yeah.
Molecular high.
It's Alpha Ophiuchi. It's the brightest star in the constellation of Ophiuchus. Yep. So, let's go see. Now I may have to move the dome for this one, but let's try it. I like to go out as little as possible because of the bears in our neighborhood.
Let's zoom in on tonsil hockey.
Took you all of 4 seconds to come up with that one.
See, Marco has joined.
Hey, Marco.
And, of course, Mr. Ronald.
Yep, I mentioned that before. Uh-oh. I'm seeing dome.
Keisha.
Oh, good. We're able to,
Or Keisha? Keisha.
Keisha Fowler, right?
That would be my way of pronouncing it, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, I think it's Keisha Fowler. Okay, so now we're moving up to the summer beehive, and there it is. You can see it pretty clearly here. Right there. Don't hit me. Those guys are pretty heavy up there. And I'll move it out of the way, and we'll take another look at it. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty. And I think the dome might be a little bit in the way, because if you look on the view there, you can see. And I'm thinking the way it's placed that we're probably not going to have the guide star looking right at it properly. And that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll fix it. Because I also want to be able to show you some of the other things that are coming. All right, so here we go. All right, and I'll just, we've got plenty of dome here, I think, but I'm gonna actually give us a 4K video preview. Yeah, and you'll notice when I kind of up the ISO here, that is the sensitivity, you'll see that it's getting redder and redder. That's because we're seeing the edge of that dome, and I have that red light on in there, which tells me that we have problems when we have it too close to the edge of the dome. So Keith, I'm gonna go out and move the dome again.
All right.
Alrighty.
10-4.
Nice. I shall be back.
Okay. In the meantime, I'm gonna fill out your author's page on Amazon.
Why was it bare?
I don't know, but I'm gonna go fill it out for you anyway.
Oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? Okay. I'll be right back.
We'll just put some elementary sentences in there just to fill it out.
Don't do anything I wouldn't.
Dog is red. C-A-T spells cat. Okay, so real talk. Is anybody getting any of this? Because I got lost like about 12 minutes ago. I'm trying though. Nobody? Everybody just have it on in the background? Good. You can admit it. Because I see that chat just kind of slowed to a crawl. And now there's nothing. Except David Schmidt. Hello, David Schmidt. How is the weather in old... Oh, you're not in Bangkok anymore. Or you never were. You were around Bangkok, right? But you're still in Thailand. I think. What the hell was that? I think Mark's being attacked by his dome. Run, Mark! Run! Don't let it treat you like that. The dome is doing domestic assault on Mark. Wait for it. Tonkayan. Okay. Wow, that scope is vert. Then I said, disaster, barely knew ya. Anyway.
That's funny.
Hi, welcome back.
You're funny. Here's me coming in. He starts telling a pretend joke. And I think that's good.
Hey, I do what I can.
I know. Well, let's just check it out. Let's take a... okay, that's weird. Let's...
Your scope is completely vertical.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, it's not. It's just the angle from the IR cam. You should have seen the dome moving, though, right?
Yes, absolutely. We thought you were being attacked.
Yeah.
It was loud.
Was it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess I'll listen. I'll listen back.
Well, it was loud to me because I have headphones on, but it might not be.
Okay. Hey, don't forget, we're still planning on offering our moons. See? Oh, you can't. This is a 3D printed moon that has absolutely no artifacts at all. It's a SLA.
I know, and you figure, you figure it's amazing how all three of us have one, and that we can use to promote. And they're great. They're absolutely awesome.
That's Keith saying, "Where's my moon?" Just so you know. Well, the truth of the matter is, I have to make a mold and make a copy of it, and I haven't done that yet. And you're absolutely right. Yeah, here we go. This is the summer beehive. It's actually a nice cluster of stars.
Ooh, by the way, Fantasy Ecstasy, we will be coming back whenever the weather decides to leave Florida. Is that your answer? Thanks for asking, though.
Yeah, the weather is causing problems down there, Fantasy.
And it has been for the last probably 47 days.
Are you serious?
Yes, it's been just every night. It's been either clouds or rain or, it's been horrible every night.
Is that just the wet season for Miami or something?
Not usually, but it's been overly crazy. Like this whole 2020 has just been nuts everywhere about everything.
For every reason.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I understand. I don't think that's
Because pandemic, no problem. Let's throw on some murder hornets. Murder hornets, no problem. Let's go ahead and throw riots in there. And riots, that's no problem. Let's just go ahead and throw 5 early tropical storms in the mix while we're at it.
God, that's funny. That murder hornet thing was funny to me. I'll tell you why. Because it reminded me of that movie with Sylvester Stallone, where if you killed somebody, it was called a murder, death, kill. Remember that?
Yeah, MDK.
Yeah, remember that? What movie was that?
That was...
Come on.
Was it murder, death, kill, right?
Yes.
It was...
It was Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes.
Oh, yeah. White men can jump.
No. they were actually frozen, and they unfroze.
It was Frozen. That's what it was.
No.
Murder, death, kill. Frozen.
Okay.
Build me a snowman. No?
No. And then, yes, and there we go. David Schmidt got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Demolition Man. That's right. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie, did I?
Oh, you'd like that
I don't
movie.
think I did. Well, maybe I did. I'm not a big Stallone fan, so,
Hey, what are you talking about? You'll like it, okay? It'll be all right.
Don't get me wrong. Rocky was good because, it was just like boxing. You didn't have to really, listen to what they're talking about. But, you try to, like, yeah, you lost me.
David Schmidt, he's getting all these black marks because he's writing Demolition Man.
Yeah, and you know what? Watch out, David, because YouTube can ban you without us having a say in it.
And I'm going to keep saying show on his comments so that they know that's not a problem.
I know, but you know what? They had a problem with that with YouTube's automated system automatically banning people.
Yeah,
so
well,
just a heads up.
they don't automatically ban our David Schmidt. No freaking way.
No way, because Schmidt David would be back here tomorrow.
That's correct. Yeah.
David Schmidt.
Demolition Man. Adrian, I can't see, I can't talk, and that's normal for me.
Adrian. Yeah.
Rocky, you get back out there.
Yeah.
You back here. Give me some bacon. Bacon sandwich.
Oh yeah. This is really a pretty little cluster that I think is beautiful, you know, and when you look at this.
See, look at Fantasy's comment. Look. He didn't say nothing bad, but it was something against YouTube. It was hidden.
Well, I wanted to show that. So
Isn't that crazy?
I showed it.
Demolition.
Yeah. And now I'll get banned for
I know, right? Yeah,
for allowing people to say what they're saying. I'll get a 60-day penalty or something.
Wow.
Yeah, but wow. Okay, so let me see that now. Okay, so that's a summer beehive, and we're actually kind of in the vicinity.
Vicinity. I see what you did there.
You see what I did there, Brian? You see what I did there, Brian?
Infowars.com.
Oh, here we go. Oh yeah. You know what? Just for that, we're gonna look at the Tweedledum cluster.
Gonna go over to Tweedledum cluster. Get yourself some ultraviolet.
Infowars.com, yeah.
Made of helium.
Yeah.
Some sort of ammonia. Tastes way better than fiberglass. Makes your skin feel like asbestos. Infowars.com. TV.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ah.
Hello, TP Seeker.
Hey, TP Seeker, how you doing?
Does that mean he's seeking toilet paper?
I don't know. I need TP for my buttonhole.
TP for my mouth.
Shut up, Beavis.
You know how outdated Beavis and Butthead are?
They're still funny. But yes.
Yeah. I know people are probably cruising by the channel and be like, oh god, these two old farts are on Beavis and Butthead.
Well,
Get me out
or
of
they're
here.
gonna say, who are Beavis and Butthead? Yeah. Whoa, that was cool.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so
We should be taken off the air. This is ludicrous.
no. Oh, come on, really?
TP. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Jeez. Okay, so
My sister family 2-ply. I don't know what that has to do with the stream, but
I don't either. All right, so this is pretty cool.
It
This
wasn't
is
marked up or anything. It was nice. It was refreshing. You ever use a bidet?
Actually, I have one in my bathroom.
Me too. I just got one, and you know what? I was like, how did I live like 40 years without this?
You know what it is? We let it fill with water, and the dog drinks out of it. It's their water bowl.
I don't care. I just call it a butthole pressure washer, and it's great. It works. I'm telling you, if you guys are living without a bidet, and I'm sorry to do this on a SkyTour LiveStream, but I'm telling you,
I am
get
too. I'm sorry you're doing
They
it
have
on
ones
SkyTour.
that bolt onto your toilet for $50, and it's the greatest thing ever.
Oh,
I'm
that
just looking it
thing.
up.
That's different. That's not the
No,
same.
it's the cleanest blue knot this side of the Mississippi. That's all I'm saying. You'll love it. I will not steer you wrong.
I swear to God, you already steered everybody wrong.
What happened?
My stream is gonna be destroyed now. Oh.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. You just
Don't knock it till you squirt it.
How can I mute him?
Well.
I have to mute you. I have to mute me too.
Talk about personal hygiene, Mark. It's a very important part of being in quarantine. And it's great.
Yeah. So anyway, this is the cluster I was telling you about, and it has a really interesting string of little stars. Now, this cluster, okay, if you recall, right, when we talk about its distance, this cluster is pretty far away. All right, actually, the Tweedledum cluster here, and I'm trying to. It has 50 to 100 stars in it, but I'm trying to figure out for you trying to get the distance. I'd have to work out the redshift thing, but what I want to show you is there's some really cool little stars in here that are just fun to look at, and they kind of give you an idea of whether you have some good skies. Look at these little tiny stars and a little string going down like this. Aren't those pretty?
Hell yeah.
And who knows whether any one of these stars could very well have planets forming around it. When they're in a cluster like this, they're young stars, so the chances of them being with planets and thus intelligent life or life is actually pretty slim right now, okay, because they're very hot young stars. But some older clusters, if the stars stay together, then it's a possibility that could be. But this little string of stars here really is beautiful, and I kind of like this little kind of string. It kind of meanders around like this. Okay. Keith, you're incorrigible.
What?
And then
I didn't even do it. I was laughing at the other dude. He said there's a product called Shiny Honey. That's all I'm saying. That's what I was laughing at. I don't know what. I'm just encouraging the use.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
We're listening. These stars can't have planets around them because they're young, hot stars.
Right, that need
Heard
to be
everything you said.
that need to be dabbed dry. I know, I get it.
Well, no, you just want to make sure to poke a fingers you have no remnants or nothing.
Oh my gosh.
You're still good. It works, Mark. Seriously. I mean, you're upper class there. You should probably have a bidet or something. But these ones are like bolt-on ones that are really great.
No, I'm not upper class, and we actually do have a real bidet. It's a separate thing sitting next to the toilet. And we fill it with water and it's a dog bowl.
We'll end the Shiny Honey talk. I'm just saying, if you have a chance, grab one. Anybody in the chat, they're great. I would easily be a spokesman for them. Go ahead. Continue with SkyTour LiveStream.
And you know something? I saw the commercial for the thing, and it looks to me like if you're not careful, you could like blind yourself with this high-pressure jet of water out of your toilet, and that doesn't look.
Well, that's
like...
true. I almost had a second hole, but the thing was that there's an adjustment. You can adjust the pressure, so it's fine. You can just do a little just do a little water fountain, or you can fire hose it. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, okay.
Depends what the night before was. Was it taco night or was it a salad night? You gotta weigh these things. But what I'm saying is, if you're gonna get one, go ahead and get one. It has my approval. I will sign off on it.
And
now,
this star right
stars
here,
can't have planets.
and this star right here, this red star is probably a carbon star, probably a red giant. Carbon stars are red giants, and what they are is they dredge up from their interiors a lot of excess carbon that was made, and that carbon tends to make the star look sooty. Okay, you know what? You got me. Okay, now I had to yawn. Okay, but the star's atmosphere looks sooty. Sooty, and that sooty appearance will appear as red. That very sooty look, and I really like carbon stars. They're just gorgeous little gems. All right, so but that's not what I wanted to show you in particular at the moment. I'm on my way to something else.
That's kind of cool how your camera automatically moves you over when you put the dome cam on.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of neat.
It is really interesting. I've never looked for this guy right here. We're going to look at it and see if it's even visible. It's called the Phantom Streak Nebula.
Not going there.
Bad comment.
Nope.
Yeah,
nope.
No, that wasn't good. I shouldn't have.
I plead the fifth.
You plead every 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th.
Yeah, you did it this time.
Yeah,
I had nothing to do with it.
Keith's not trying to keep it together. He's trying to run it off the rails.
No. Dude, would I ever do that?
Yes.
What is this called again?
This is called the Phantom something nebula.
You said the Phantom Streak?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know whether it's actually, I don't know.
Like
whether,
a streak as in like S-T-R-E-A-K?
Yeah,
Streak?
Streak.
Yeah, streak.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yes, I'm not sure. With the moon, I don't know if we're going to see anything, but, you know,
Yeah, it's going to be a little tough.
if it's actually a nebula. You know, let me see what they say it is actually, because I think that's kind of cool. Oh, it's a planetary nebula, so we might be able to see it. We might be able to see it. All right, let's try. It may or may not be visible when it says something like Phantom Streak. Well, then that implies that it may not be as readily apparent. But let's give it a shot. Let's just do a 20-second shot of this guy. We should now have our, and we do. We have our guide star, so we should be looking for this.
That Phantom Streak is made to look like dark matter.
I don't know.
What?
Keith,
It looks kind of blue. I'm just saying.
yeah.
Baby, turn your brown eye blue. All right.
You're just.
That's enough out of you.
You must.
All right.
You must stop.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but you will not.
That's what?
because
What's today?
you
Saturday?
can't.
It's a Saturday night. We can chill out.
Yeah. Okay. I enjoy it. That's fine. Okay. Well, there's the. I think. Oh, I see. We gotta focus again. Yeah. Look, another carbon star. They're beautiful. Yeah. Okay. This is probably the planetary right there. But
See you, Marianne. Have a good night.
Oh, Marianne, what do you were supposed to be in bed hours ago, Marianne. What's wrong with you? Come on now.
She had to stay around for my commercial.
I guess she did. And now you've scared her away and she's gone.
Oh, I would so make a commercial too.
Oh,
I should,
I
just for
so
P&K.
think you would. Yes. Yeah, make your own private commercial for P&K Space Imaging.
I will.
That would be funny.
That'll be out tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, Marianne, thank you. And it was really good to see you. So come by anytime you like, and we'll be happy to treat you. Happy to treat you with respect. Right, Keith? Right.
Of course.
Right.
Never do it any other way.
Yes. Okay. So now let's go see what's going on here. This guy here is probably what we're looking at, but I think that we need to focus again, because as the temperature gets a little cooler, the focus does change.
Yep.
So
And the balls get fuzzy.
Keith?
The balls of light get fuzzy.
Yes, Keith. Yeah, I get you. Yep, that's what 4 cups of coffee do to you.
Well, you know what else 4 cups of coffee does to
I'm
you?
afraid to hear, but go ahead.
Well, let's just say I'm glad I have one of them little squirters.
God. Ay. You know, I'm trying to be respectable.
Respectable or respectable? Because either way, we're failing on all fronts tonight.
I'm afraid so. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I am. Listen,
You are?
we don't have to be so serious.
Oh, I'm not.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, I know.
it's a good product. That's all I was saying.
I'm focusing my stars now.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're looking better.
No, I'm just trying to. I gotta take it out of focus and then bring it back.
What kind of focusing system do you have on that thing?
There's a focuser that I integrated into the telescope. So as I.
Well, like a digital focuser?
No, this is an actual mechanical, physical focuser.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because you don't want digital. You can't do.
I mean, it's
digital.
mechanical being ran by a digital software.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. That's cool.
Yes, it's actually very good at what it does.
Looks like it's pretty sensitive.
It is. I'm actually on the lightest setting right now. I can actually go 4 times as powerful. Actually, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, and then
I
just
tell you what,
singular.
Paul, we don't have that kind of setup, but man, he swears by them Bob's knobs, man.
Well, Bob's knobs are for collimating.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
loves them things.
Yeah, I have Bob's knobs on the telescope. That's good for collimating. That's not this though.
Yeah, he gets it nice and sharp.
Yeah, that's collimation though. That's not this.
Well, if you're not collimated, you're not going to focus it.
That is also true.
A quarter one way, 2 dimes, and a nickel another.
Yeah. Whatever you said. Okay, so we
I heard this song on the Spice Channel before.
Spice Channel.
Hmm?
The Spice Channel.
I didn't say that.
You just did.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
I wasn't. I don't even know what spice is.
I'm sure.
Nope.
Garlic?
Well, that's not a spice, but yeah, okay.
Really? Is garlic not a spice?
It's a vegetable.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I guess it wouldn't be considered a spice, would it?
No, it's a
Huh.
it's a vegetable. Now you can see.
You just blew my mind.
Now you can see how nice and small these stars are. These look nice now.
Yeah.
That's really
Nice
good.
and sharp.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so now that we have that, let's take ourselves to one of our other objects that we'd like to see. That I know would be really interesting for you guys to check out. Something we can see with this moon the way it is. Let's try. It's almost at the zenith, and maybe we can see it.
Ooh.
Yep. This will be a good one.
It's at the top of the greenhouse.
It is. Here we go. And there goes the telescope. Okay.
That motor might need a cougher up or two.
Yeah, no, that's a sound that's characteristic of these scopes, and I can't stop it.
That's a dual fork, right?
It is.
Yeah.
This guy, when we pull into this one, you'll be able to see him. He's pretty obvious. He's right there already.
That's a 10-inch scope too, right?
It is.
Yeah, so it's yeah, those things weight-wise and gear-wise are just loud.
Yeah,
But they are very sensitive.
they are, and they're very good. You know, this telescope was actually very good for the money. This is actually the Arizona scope I'm using because I'm rehabbing the other one behind me. And this whole system being tried and perfected here is being sent to Arizona to be used in the desert. Where
There you go.
it's gonna be fantastic.
Do you have a time frame?
End of July, we're gonna see first light. It looks like right now.
That's cool.
But you know, with the whole COVID thing, I've got to make sure that the people that are allowing me to set up the observatory on their land, they have to be happy with my whole time frame. I will not go if they're uncomfortable or worried about anything. So that's that. So they're gonna have the final say. It looks like it'll be okay, but again, they have to have the final say. So right here, you can see a fuzzy little thing, just barely in the view right there. And that little fuzzy thing is Messier 13, the great star cluster in Hercules.
I cannot see anything.
Hercules. Remember that?
I see the star at the bottom. I see the star above your head. I see the star in the top right, to the right of the clock. I see nothing in between.
That star on the upper right o'clock is a glitch on my sensor. I gotta see if
Oh.
I gotta clean the sensor.
Hotspot.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
hey.
there we go. There we go.
Well, kind of, sorta, but I had that's showing me that the guider may not be working properly at this stage, or it could be right in the middle of a periodic error correction. So I have to give that a second or two. I looks like when I look at my telescope here, I think I've got coverage here. I think I've got my guider system working. Yeah.
See you later, DK. Have a good night.
All right, DK, you guys, you take care of yourself. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back and do another shot. See, the way the telescope's guider system works, they tend to they have a little
Right,
warm.
fantasy? That's what I said. I didn't see nothing until that exposure came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, that's right. It's right here. Yeah, it's actually right here. I can see it. My cursor's right on it.
Oh, can you see it on your screen like without the exposure and everything?
A
I'm guessing.
little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Messier 13, and they are. It looks like it is like hiding right in plain sight, isn't it? You know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just go back and take another shot right now, and come back. It's really just a beautiful cluster. Yeah.
That's right out of Star Trek.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Not really. Messier 13 is actually a cluster that's it's actually pretty fascinating because it's 22,000 light years away, and it's probably got 50,000 plus stars in it, and it's really you know, if you look at it closely, you'll see that I probably need to do a little more focusing because we're almost there, but it's still a little soft. So I'm going to try focusing just to grab a little better view here. We'll use this star over here, actually. So I'm going to do focus view right now, and we'll be able to capture the focus here in a minute.
Man, computers make things so much better, don't they?
Yeah, they make them work. They make things work. Yeah.
If you would have told people like 150 years ago that data would reign supreme
They'd go
in 2000s,
They say,
they would be like, what? Data?
What's data?
Well, they would know what it was, but they wouldn't put as much, value in it as we do today.
No.
Through like compression or collection of, So, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is quite amazing. And I want to be in this guy.
They'd probably be more amazed at all they are at this point in time. A regular layperson back in the 1800s is actually just now a data point.
That's right. They'd be wondering, like, what the hell happened to me? Why am I just a data point?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Now I can focus. Oh, yeah. See, that was even better.
But we're all data points, right? So
We are, to some extent, just points
most
of
of
data.
us won't do anything to stand out, globally anyway. So we're all just points of data
Okay.
at this point.
I'm not happy with that. Are you?
I kind of am.
You are, for you are not the Quetzalcoatl Hatterack.
Give a dog a bone. What?
The spice must flow.
Spice must flow, and if it does flow, clean it out.
Fantasy's asking if there's a lot of Messier objects in this area. Actually, there's a lot of globular clusters in this area, but if we go down into the south here, this is the summer Milky Way is rolling up now, and unfortunately with the moon out, it kind of totally ruins that. The moon is over here, okay? As you can see, it's literally right in the middle of the Sagittarius star cloud. So
Have you ever looked at some of these constellations and asked yourself, like, what were these guys smoking?
I think that when they saw more stars than we ever do, I think that that's, that is something that you
I
can't-
guess. I mean, like, you look at some of these and you're like, oh, that's what that is? How did they come up with that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know.
But of course, yeah, you're right. They did have, you know, a lot clearer skies and a lot better view. But still, even if you, like, make that view,
Yeah. Okay, here
like,
we
it
are.
doesn't look like a bull to me. It doesn't look like a dude with a bow and arrow. But, you know, who am I?
I agree, and there are issues with that I have too. But you know, from my point of view, I don't see the objects that they saw. But then
True.
again, some of the objects are so esoteric, like the crow. You know, a crow. What do you mean a crow? I don't see a crow. How can you possibly see a crow, you know, in some of these? Am I,
Oh, especially in Stellarium when they do the full animation setting on, you know, the constellations.
yeah.
Where they, you know, color them in and shade them in to make them look like real things. And I'm looking at the stars, like, throughout that constellation where they shade everything. And I'm like, that is not what that looks like. It looks like just, you know.
Oh, you mean like if we look at like Hercules right here?
Yeah, like if you do
And then
the
we
actual
do this.
constellation. Yeah, like, really? I mean, come on.
It looks like a guy
Really?
partying upside down or something.
Yeah. It's like cosmic porno.
Stop it.
What the heck is he doing up there?
Oh yeah.
He's wearing a vine for a diaper.
And away he goes.
Yeah, way he goes. I
There
don't
we
know.
go. Look at that. There's a beautiful.
Yeah, no,
that's
that's
a
nice.
beautiful image of M13.
It's a very, very hot area of space.
Yeah, well, these are old stars too, you know. So you know, this is Daryl when he's with us. He tells you about the propeller, which is, you know, these dark areas that you see in here, and it's sort of like a interesting little feature. And I don't really think so much about that. I don't actually look for that. I don't see it so much, you know. And it's kind of cool though. You can see some really beautiful, you know, stars in here. There's really, you know, there's some good deep views we can get. It's fully resolved.
Do you think that people like way back when knew these were like, you know, what they are? Like, because they're probably, I mean, even with their good skies, they probably still just look like points of light in the sky. They probably thought it was a single star.
Yeah, I'm
You know?
sure. Yep. There's no doubt, actually. I mean, they couldn't see this as a globular cluster. They never did.
So basically, like, constellations are basically like ancient pareidolia, pretty much.
Ancient
Pareidolia.
pareidolia, yeah, that's right. Pretty much. Not bad. Good way to say it. Ancient pareidolia. Ancient pareidolia and you. Yep, that's right. Okay, now let's see here.
It doesn't look like Hercules, man. Like Hercules had muscles and stuff.
Hercules. Yeah.
Hercules.
Remember that? Hercules. That was Eddie Murphy and what movie was that?
Really? They used to think that shooting stars were arrows from the gods shooting the devil. That's cool.
Yeah, there was a number of interpretations. Yeah. Okay, we're going to Sulafat.
Well, horoscopes are based on constellations, right? Like somehow, like they do it.
Yeah, I mean they're based on when you were born and so forth.
Yeah, but what's that have to do with like the dates? Is like a certain time, like at a certain point in the sky when that certain constellation crosses, or I don't know how that works. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's all crap, but I'm just trying to figure out how they came up with all that.
Yeah, it is kind of bogus. Yeah, it's bogus.
But like, is it like a certain point in the sky when that constellation crosses, and they know that happens? Like, say for Taurus, like in May,
Yeah, that's
So it's automatically makes you a Taurus because the
Yeah.
Taurus is in the sky at that point, or I don't know.
it's part of that. Yeah, it's all part of that. I'm gonna do a 13-second exposure here. I actually found a glitch in the software for the telescope that I can't correct and they can't correct.
Oh boy.
Yep. See where the telescope thinks it is right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We should be seeing the ring nebula when I come look at this. And you'll notice that there's no ring nebula. Okay, so you say, oh no, the telescope's not aligned anymore. However, if I tell the telescope to go to this star right down here, specifically, okay, Sulafat, which it just went to try and find M57, the ring nebula. Tell it to go to this star. It'll go to the star. Okay.
Is Meade still doing support?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of figured.
So-
I'm hoping they come out of it because competition's good, especially with them and Celestron being the two biggest ones. I
Yeah.
hope they come out of bankruptcy
Yeah.
because they do have a good product.
Yeah.
You know.
They do. Yeah, see? It doesn't it makes a mistake on the coordinates going to this particular location. And that's the only one. It doesn't have a problem with anything else. It just has a problem with this. Very
And that's
strange.
a problem with Meade, or is it a problem with the?
It's a problem with the Meade software, yep. And it's
So it's not a problem on Stellariums and
no
talking
no.
to Meade.
No, it's weird.
By the way, if anybody wants a really good program, Stellarium is free, and you can look at the
Yeah.
stars and get all this information if you want to. It's free to download. It's free to
Yeah,
have. Mark takes it to the next level by using it as a control. But if you just want to check out and learn stuff about planets or stars or anywhere, I mean, it has hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of marked stars. So yeah, have fun with it.
It is. It's wonderful.
Or if you want to see the moon up close, the LRO quick map.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
not. I can't believe how many people still don't know about that.
We talked
Like you
about
send them
it.
to the site and they're like, "Oh my lord, I've been looking at
Every
Copernicus
Copernicus.
for 4 hours."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can zoom into individual rocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see things that are 15 feet across.
Yeah.
The lunar module, the descent stage, you can see it. You can see the shadow it leaves on the lunar surface. You can even see the shadow of the American flag.
Yep.
At the landing sites in some of the cases. Yep. Now see, this is not correct. It's making a real mess of this. And if I actually don't miss my guess,
We could almost say they're in need of an update. Dad jokes.
yeah. Okay. You can say what you want there, Peter. Alright, let's go here, and I'll say we're going to go to Vega. We're going to try Vega. Because I was astonished when they tried to go to M57.
Tina, what's not available in your country? Stellarium or the LRO quick map? Stellarium should be available everywhere.
It is. It should be. There's no countries that forbid looking at the stars.
Yeah.
Tina,
I mean, I
where
can
are
understand
you?
restrictions on software for something, but I don't know why they would do it to Stellarium.
It's free. If it was a pay thing, that makes sense. Tina, where are you located?
Yeah, well, yeah. What country are we sending this illegal contraband to?
Well, they're all free. Stellarium doesn't have a pay edition. Okay, there is Vega. So see, it works. I'm going to Vega, and there we go. There it is.
If you can't get it and you really want it, you can always get a VPN and just set yourself to a different country and download it. But I don't know why they wouldn't give it to you.
Yeah. Oh, I asked her what country she's in. I don't. Is she in Germany or something?
Stellarium's not on a mobile, is it?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
It's on the iPhone. She's looking
Oh.
in the Google App Store. I'm wondering if it's not on Android.
Yeah. Oh. Well, yeah, you're definitely going to get it if you live in San Diego.
Oh, yeah, it's available to you, Tina.
Yeah, try it on a computer.
On the computer, it's there. It may not be, for some reason. Yeah, they ever well, that is a different country. That's kind of funny. It is. San Diego is beautiful. It's one of the only cities I've ever been to that I think I could actually live in.
And I'm Ron Burgundy.
And I hate cities. Well, there's Vegas, so we got it with no problem. So I'm going to find out why. I just want to look at the Ring Ding Nebula, and I don't know why I can't.
Ringy dingy.
Let's do it this way. Come at it from this side, and let's see what it does.
I like Google Sky Map, but it's nowhere near as detailed as Stellarium is. Like, it's okay if you want to, like, Google Sky Map was good if, like, you're outside and you want to view something and you want to know what that light is in the sky.
Yep.
You know, it's great for that. Especially if you have it calibrated. And it's really easy to calibrate your phone to, you know, you turn left, turn right, tilt up, tilt down, you know, and all that stuff. But
correct.
Stellarium goes into depth, like, with actual coordinates and, you know, side real times and all that stuff.
What do you do? Oh man, I don't.
And I'm Ron Burgundy.
The Anchorman.
The Anchor Man.
Okay.
I'd be the other guy that ate a big red candle.
Okay, I think we got it this time. It's gonna be right about here. Right there. Almost off the view, so I'll have to bring it up into view. And as you can see, I'm wrong. All right. Duh, I'm sorry. Try again in 2 weeks. See, the thing is, it's maddening because
Is it just this area?
it's just one spot, you know, and every time I try to go here, it messes up.
What, that one grid spot there? Or just that area around that star? Or around that cluster?
It's the area around this location. So here's how I can find it. Okay, watch this. I'm going to go to this star right here, an ordinary star that we don't even care about, right? Actually, I'll try something else. All right. I told you about this part of. Let me just bring this to there. I told you about this part of Stellarium. Not Stellarium, but the control program. I am going to do a search for objects. All right. And I'm going to look for deep sky objects, and we're going to look for M57, which is the Ring Nebula. All right, and we're going to try and see what this program does. Now this will tell me, to answer your question too, is this a problem with Stellarium and how it's working, or is it a problem with how the telescope has the definition of the telescope's database? You shall see.
Or are there a couple ones and zeros that are miscommunicating between the two?
Yeah, that would be effectively correct. See, now if it's going to Sulafat, it should now just go that way for just a short little hop. Okay, And it didn't. It went all the way out to here. So something isn't right.
Oh, that's the problem. It doesn't say Celestron on it.
I'm sorry, were you talking?
Huh? Nope.
I didn't think so. Okay, so as you can see, it thinks it went to the right spot, and it has not. But I'm going to take a 15-second picture just to confirm.
What if you take the picture and it's like dead center?
I would be
Like, what the heck?
Yeah, well then I'd be really confused. I'm gathering data, here's what I'm doing. Because I have to figure out why it's not working. Okay, and as you can see, it's definitely not there. Okay, so now the next thing to do is to go to a nondescript star and then move to this thing. Okay, so that's the star I want to go to. Alright. So I'm going to say, go to that star.
Do it.
I'm doing it. Don't push me. I'm going. Alright, and now. Where am I going here? Oh, yes. Okay.
I'll be over here playing tennis.
Tennis. Look at that. Wow. I can't believe it. When I first learned that, I thought it was amazing.
Right?
No.
Oh.
So, it says it's out there, but if it really is at this star and it's confused, then maybe
Maybe it's not there anymore. Maybe we just made a massive discovery.
no.
Oh.
I wish we did.
Dream killer. God forbid we make a massive discovery on a SkyTour LiveStream just out of the blue that a whole
You can't make a massive
thing
discovery
disappeared.
if there's nothing there to discover. Come on, Marty. Okay, is this where we are? Yep.
30-0.
It's making me nuts. Okay, I'm just trying to figure this out now. This is now we're
Now this is your perfectionist brain taking over.
I know that's
Because
exactly.
you want this thing so bad.
I just want this. Yes.
Exactly.
I figured I'd just be quiet about that. But this isn't going to work. How about this? Let's see if we can go to this galaxy.
Sausage.
I got that that program, by the way, that you talked about for doing the audio stuff.
Doing the audio stuff.
Making the audio sounds like a person to sound like a guy or other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Morphox.
Yeah.
I like it, but I don't like their compression interface on the output.
No.
It really affects, like, especially compression mics and stuff like that. They don't sound as good because the output algorithm on the mixer, on the internal mixer on that thing, doesn't sound as good.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it does work. Don't get me wrong. But if if we're talking and I'm using it, like if I turned it on, it would make my mic just totally cut low and the audio like lose all bass. Even if I have the bass all the way up, I'd lose it.
Okay.
So it's not the best. So you definitely want to feed it through a preamp or something. You know, to get what you want out of it. But it's not a bad little program. It's pretty cheap for what it is.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I could do SkyTour LiveStream and be like somebody totally different.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. You could be on as a guest to be somebody totally different.
I'd be Ethel.
You're Ethel. That's right. All right. Well, I have to give up on this because this is not cooperating. I don't know why.
Mark,
it's
truthfully,
doing
I
it.
gave up on it 7 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying. You know.
I was rooting for you. Don't get me wrong.
I was rooting for me too. But you know what I'm gonna do now instead? I'm gonna go down here.
And this is Keith from P&K Space Imaging. Have you ever wanted a shiny honey? Log on with code KEEPHERCLEAN to shinyhoney.com.
Ay.
Infowars.com, personplan.tv.
Another beautiful double star.
Yep. What time is it? Oh my God, it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
It is, yes. Hey, you know, I get going even on a, you know, it was a full moon night, and I was thinking to myself, I'm probably not going to stream for more than an hour or two. You know?
Here comes Mr. Coffee.
Yeah, and well, if I drank coffee, that might be one thing, and I don't drink soda anymore.
Oh no, I was talking about me.
Oh, okay. You know what I do is I drink water all day, and I have one meal a day at night, and that's how I lost 17 pounds in 3 weeks.
Killer.
I was 198, and now I'm 181. I'm literally 6 pounds from my high school weight now.
Well, I'm not fat, per se, but I'm pleasantly plump.
Fantasy. I will eat my neighbor.
I'm telling you now, I will eat my neighbors. I'm looking at them.
Yeah, I bet.
They're looking like a tasty T-bone.
Yeah.
And if you want a special InfoWars spice to make your neighbors not taste like fiberglass, InfoWars.com, personplan.tv.
To make your neighbors not taste like fiberglass. What the heck? Okay. 20 seconds at 4,000 on this most beautiful of double stars in the sky. The star is a B8 blue star, and the orange star is a K3, I believe. I will tell you in a second if that's correct. Albireo, and we're looking at a K2, so it's a giant, and there's a B8 that is the counterpart. And look at this. Is this not
Wow,
beautiful?
that reminds me. You ever see that movie K-Pax?
I have indeed. Kevin Spacey, I believe.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat one. I don't know why this image reminds me of that, but it does.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from, but you know what? It's
Yeah.
okay. It's pretty. I like it. And look at this. So this is the beauty of Albireo, okay? It's the head of the swan, in Cygnus the swan. And this is the K2 star. K2 as in numeral 2 followed by Roman numeral 2, K2 2. So it's a giant. And then there's a B8 star next to it. Now, the B8 star might actually be brighter than the K2. In terms of temperature, it's definitely hotter. So it has more energy coming off of it than this K2 star right here, right? But the difference is that this K2 star here is so much bigger in diameter that surface area makes the star look bigger and brighter, or I should say brighter. And that quality, that characteristic of the star is called the luminosity, how luminous it is. And big diameter stars are more luminous than smaller diameter stars, even if the smaller diameter star is hotter and gives off
So remember,
more
kids,
energy.
in the cosmos, size does matter.
Yeah, and now we we bring you music by Billy and the Dillies
Yeah, no,
Okay.
really?
Yes. Exactly. That's what this sort of.
Because we're looking at two stars. One's a red one, one's a blue one. Then there's Mark to the left. Bing.
Yeah. Bing. You know, these two stars just. Yeah. But they're beautiful. I mean, come on. You can't deny how pretty these are. Look at them.
I know.
You know, they're just beautiful.
It's crazy.
They're little gems in space.
They look like they're so close.
they're gems in space. You know.
They are really.
Yeah, I like them.
It's a good shot.
I like
It's
them.
a stackable shot.
I like them. We'll keep them.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, looks good. Or as Jay Leno says,
Wait, if you put your picture below them and you put them above your head, it looks like you have a very good idea. Right there, screenshot. Tag it. This is what happens when you're an ultraviolet male. Your spit starts tasting like gasoline.
Stop.
We had a little bit of lead into your blood. Vitamins A, C, D, X, V.
Vitamin
ketamine.
X. You are a madman.
Yeah, makes you bleed lithium, but it's good. It's good stuff. Infowars.com, prisonblind.tv.
I'm just gonna sneak out, guys. I'll see you later. Bye. You know. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a beautiful shot.
Are they close? They're not even close.
They really are. Actually, they're these stars are about just over 5,000 astronomical units apart from each other, and they're binary.
Really?
It's a
That's
binary. It's a binary. Yeah, they are 5,000 astronomical units, roughly. And as far as their distance, the distance from us is what?
Well, usually these kind of stars orbit one another, right?
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me if you look at this in, say, a future tense, like they would be in different positions around one another?
I am telling you that is true. Yes.
Okay. Well, how long does it take for us to visually see that? Or how long do you think it would take for us to visually see that?
We can calculate the period that it would take, and then we could figure out how fast they're going around each other and figure out their orbital speeds. And that will tell us when things would change. But certainly someone's done that before, and a simple search of Google will probably turn that up. But they're just under 400 light years away. But
so we could look at this, say, like 2 years from now, and they would be in different positions.
probably not.
If the speed is enough.
If the speed's enough, but most likely it's not.
Okay.
They're in a dance forever. They're in a forever dance, and they're going to be slowly pirouetting around each other for eternity. Now, actually, eternity ends when the K2 Roman numeral 2 star goes supernova. If that's what happens to the star.
When the K2 goes supernova.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what's the star that was they were thinking it might go
Betelgeuse.
supernova to us? Yeah, Betelgeuse in the next
10,000
next
years.
500 years.
Well, they're thinking 10,000. But the thing is, it could have already gone supernova, and we won't know it for 700 years because it's about 700 light years away. So there's that magical mystery tour of time travel for the universe that we're seeing. You know?
That's why I need ultraviolet male eye drops. You can see supernova 700 years before it happens.
See into the future with ultraviolet male eye drops. Yeah, okay.
Ultraviolet male vitamins. Someone gives you a welder's flash, but it's worth it.
I'll be out here. Bye. Bye. I am going out. Yeah.
He's puny. Oh my god.
Yes,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SkyTour LiveStream.
Yeah, we're done here.
We're done here.
Yeah. So, folks, yeah. I was trying to show the Ring Nebula, but there's a glitch, not in our software, but in the software built into the telescope that is made. And so I will have to get to the bottom of this and figure out a proper pathing algorithm to get us.
Ask for your money back.
Yeah, no, the money back is over $4,000. I don't think they're going to
Like, sir, you bought that thing 17 years ago.
No, I did not. It's brand new.
I kept the receipt.
It was brand new just a few, less than a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, really? What'd
Yeah.
you do with the other one that was in there?
It's behind me. I'm rehabbing it.
Oh, that's the one you're sending out. Did you ever give that one to the kid, the Dob? Didn't you have a Dob somewhere?
Yes, it still has his name on it. I told his dad.
Well, he's had enough time.
Yeah, because
Sorry.
somebody else wants the Dob, and I wonder who that is.
I'm just, Let's just say you wake up one morning and you decide to make some eggs and stare down at your eggs a little too long while Keith backs the truck in. And you just go ahead and enjoy yourself a nice meal and you ain't seen nothing, I ain't seen nothing, and we just call it even.
Yeah.
You'd be like, why is this jerk driving down the road with an observatory on the back of his truck? That's not the scope I was talking about.
Keith came to pick up that observatory and drive it down to Knoxville for me. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I brought a sawzall.
Yeah. Why did he bring a sawzall? Yeah.
Great.
Ladies and
See
gentlemen.
me out there like pulling it with a chain with the truck, trying to pull the post out of the ground.
You just
like full redneck.
Rip it to shreds.
It'll come out. Let me get a couple tugs on her.
Ladies and gentlemen, all of you watching, I want to thank you for watching tonight. This is a great object to end on. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. The moon is out. We hate the moon. I hate the moon. Keith loves the moon. Keith Moon. Hey, how about that? And then there's that. But thank you for coming along tonight and enjoying us, and for what you could, and shaking your heads for the rest, going like, what are they talking about? Exactly. I am Mark D'Antonio with SkyTour LiveStream. That is Keith Ickes from P&K Space Imaging on the other end here, making all the noises and having a lot of fun. I guess I'm the straight man at the moment, but I am more than capable of being the funny guy as well. So we're having a lot of fun, and we had a fun time streaming. And Anahata77, hello there. I'm glad that you stopped in. And so I'll come back on another clear night, of course. And I just like looking here at Alberio. It's just beautiful. Don't get too close. It's kind of hot. Stop. Go the other way. Yeah, go on. Go. Yeah, you're right. Starting to feel the heat here. A little warm. So we'll be back. We'll be back to you on the next clear night. Okay. And go away. We'll be back on the next clear night. And so I just want you to, when you leave tonight, go out and look up in the sky one more time and figure out, is that a UFO or is that just a satellite? It's most likely a satellite, but they do exist. The UFOs do exist. And get out. Alberio is one beautiful gem in the heavens. That beautiful pair. When I was a kid, I thought that star was green. It looked so green to me. Okay. But as I got older, I started to see it more as blue. So my eyes were actually playing tricks on me.
Ultraviolet male.
And there's that. Yep. So you guys enjoy yourself tonight. We're gonna head out. And I don't want to play C.W. McCall's Convoy song because that's something Keith would probably really like.
Oh, and don't forget the Shiny Hiney.
Yeah, and then there's that.
If you guys want a great butthole pressure washer, I'm telling you.
I don't want this
don't
to
sleep
be
on it.
18 plus.
No, I said Hiney. I'm just saying, no more worried about mud butt. It's just, you're there, you're clean, you're great.
Dude, you're killing
this
me.
is the SkyTour LiveStream with Mark D'Antonio.
Right. Say my name and associate it with it. You're gonna get it. No, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
If I get penalized,
You'll be streaming on P&K.
I'm gonna be streaming on P&K every freaking night of the week, whether I got something to say or not.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it's a great product.
Incidentally, over there you can't see it, but I have a new computer that I'm outfitting for use here to replace the one here that we're on currently.
Oh, what kind?
It's actually an AMD with a Ryzen chip in it.
Ooh.
and it's extremely fast. And
Nice.
I loaded Universe Sandbox 2 on it, and I maxed out the number of particles. In other words, really stressed it.
Really gave it the stress test.
And these fans in this computer were going like, really, really hard to keep the heat down.
Yeah.
And it
Was
was
it liquid cooled?
No, it's just
No.
on the edge of being to the liquid cool requirement, and
Nice.
it was outstanding. Oh my gosh! So when we actually stream on that with Universe Sandbox, we can collide things into each other and then zip right through the cloud, and it doesn't lose a frame. It just goes right smoothly by.
Yeah, and if you guys think me and Mark are crazy when we do this, wait till we get on a stream with Universe Sandbox.
Then we're crazy when we start launching Pluto at Earth.
Yes.
Or
combining Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn together and making our own planet called Stupiter.
Right.
It's the greatest thing. And then when you take Stupiter and you fling it into Uranus, it's magic.
Then you need Shiny Heidi to clean it all up. I know.
Shiny Heidi to clean it up. Squirt, squirt. Happy days ahead.
Yeah. I'm so done.
Yeah.
This isn't really happening. This is not.
Go to bed with a smile.
Okay.
I'll go to bed with a smile.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Well, you know what I'm doing after this.
You know what, guys? I can't. I don't know. I can't. I'm just not in it. I'm not competing with this tonight. I don't get it. It's just funny as heck.
Yeah. Sick puppy.
Fantasy's asking, what graphics card am I using? Actually, I have several generations back. I have there's a GTX 970 in there.
I'm so computer illiterate. Like everybody's like, "What kind of computer do you have?" I'm like,
"What one?
I have a desktop."
A white one. Okay.
Yeah, and then like when I'm running like a lot of programs and like fans running, I'm just sitting there like Ralph Wiggum. I'm like, I'm in danger because it sounds like it's gonna explode.
Yeah. Right.
But hey, it's done the job. It's been going good.
Yeah.
This old HP, rocking out good. So.
Yeah. Ronald, no, go away.
Yeah, seriously, Ronald, we don't need to make it 18 plus just by saying Heine.
Stop.
And Uranus is a planet.
Pronounced Uranus, by the way.
Says you. What do we want to call that one? I still cannot remember what we wanted to call Uranus. Its actual name that it was first called, and it was so much better.
Herschel.
But I don't remember what it was.
Herschel.
No, it was something like it was. I don't know. It sounded like a god, like a
Okay.
It was just a really good name for a planet. And I'm like, why didn't we stick to that? Why did we have to go from that to Uranus? Uranus.
Yes. Well, let's find out. Let me see if
But you know what happens? You know, Uranus has rings around it.
Oh boy. Here
Speaking
here it comes.
So I just found that interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They're vertical rings too.
Yes, Uranus is lying on its side.
Yeah, it fell over.
93 degrees or so. Actually, from massive impact in the early solar system.
There was a massive impact with Uranus. Come on. Listen, we're astronomers. We need to stop laughing about this stuff.
You're making me... Wait, what's this collective we here?
Well, I'm just saying. You started laughing first.
Yeah, I did, but you started saying it first, and, you know...
You're the one that said Uranus had a massive impact, and now it's on its side. Just saying.
Yeah.
We're professionals.
Yes. We're professional losers. You're turning me into a professional loser.
Well, we didn't name the planets, did we?
Yes, 18 had said it. Uranus got drunk, and then next thing you know, it's laying inside.
That is so horrible. What did you say that for?
Oh,
my God.
Thanks, Fantasy. You have pity on me.
See you later, Fantasy.
Have pity on me.
Have a good night. Don't have pity on him. He started it.
I did not.
Ah, come on.
I did not. I do recall
We were all sitting here getting a nice astronomy lesson, and there you go, having to sexualize space.
No, I did
Talking
not.
about Uranus laying on its side with the rings around it.
Somebody, of the two of us, one of us said, "Do you have a bidet?"
Well,
and
I'm
thus
just saying
it
it's a
went
great
down the
product.
road.
Well,
Yeah, well, yeah.
well, you did have a bidet, and you agree with me that is one of the greatest inventions of all time.
Well, I do have one because it came with the house.
See? See?
I thought I was in Europe. I walked in here and said, "Hey, what's that?"
That's freaking great, isn't it?
Mm.
Come on, you can say it. It's
No,
great.
when
great.
we had the movers moving a refrigerator for us, and they moved the refrigerator in, and he had to go to the bathroom. He walks into the bathroom. He comes out with this look on his face, and he goes, What's that thing in there?"
That's the weirdest water fountain I've ever seen.
What's the thing the other next to the toilet? And my my response was, "It's a bidet." "Oh, what do you use it for?" And I quickly thought, I'm not going to tell him exactly what I think it should be used for. So I said, "We fill it with water and our dog drinks out of it." "Oh, what a great idea. Yeah. Hey, have a good day." "Yeah, you too." Wow.
Yeah, because that makes a lot more sense than pressure washing your butthole. But, my dog drinking out of my toilet.
Not a toilet.
Well, the bidet is like, if you get a bidet, like, why are we talking about this?
Because you did. And
I
you
didn't.
started
I
it.
didn't bring it up this time. You did. Sorry. Nope.
Oh.
Nope. Not gonna blame me for this one. Nope. It's a great product, though.
Yeah. Actually, Uranus was called Georgium Sidus,
Georgium Sidus. No.
and that was
doesn't
named
sound like-
after King George III of England.
I don't think that was it. It was something like really like solid, like
Yeah.
like I'm thinking about it. Like I remember when we looked it up, it was like something like really like there, like one name, like almost like Thor. You know what I mean? It was something like that, but it was like 2 syllables.
Thor, what a wimpy name. Yeah, no, I do remember it.
I just don't remember what it was. I'll have to look it up or look at the stream again.
Yeah,
But
well,
it was a pretty badass name.
yeah, I can't.
But Uranus was actually a person, right?
It was.
I think so. I think it was a god of either
Well,
Greek,
it was the Greek god Oranos.
Oranos. Well,
Yeah.
even that would be better.
Yeah, Oranos was Ouranos.
Yeah.
Oranos.
That's cool. I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds like Oreos.
Oranos. I am Oranos.
Oh, was it Neptune fantasy? Oh, yeah, Neptune. Was Uranus originally named Neptune? No.
No,
No.
it was Oranos.
I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Let's end this. My toilet's calling me.
Oh, okay. Well, folks, thank you for coming out. I hope you guys have a really good night. I will sit back here and probably continue staring at what?
Before they picked Uranus. All right, I'm done. I'm done. That's it. That's it.
Yes. Herschel, George, Neptune. Before they did, yes. Before it was named,
George.
it was Herschel wanted to call it Georgium Sidus, which was named for King George III.
Oh, Georgium would have been cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like George. You know.
It's like naming your dog Kevin.
That's right. Or Bill, you know.
Yeah. Hey, don't say it, because I'm gonna have a German Shepherd named Frank.
You're gonna name it Muttley.
Muttley.
Muttley's a good name for a dog, you know.
No, actually, my name for the German Shepherd I'm gonna get his name's Jerry.
Jerry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either way,
Wow.
you won't be drinking out of the toilet.
Nope. No toilet. All right, folks. I'm just getting out of here now while the getting's good. You know, I'm not going to hang out here anymore because it's going to get bad with this guy here behind me doing this stuff.
Yeah,
But,
that darn double star.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys, you have a good night. And Keith and I will I'll be back at some point in the future, maybe. If I'm allowed to stream anymore. You know.
If not, see you in 90 days.
Yes. If I'm not on in the next clear night sky, you'll know why. And
We're good.
then you can look for me on Keith's stream because I'm going to be over there taking it over.
Yep. And he's more than welcome to.
Yeah, we're having fun obviously together. So that's all right.
That's what we do.
Yeah,
I come on for the unserious nights.
of course. And when we have full moon nights, you know, what are you gonna do? You know,
Yeah.
we can blame it on the full moon.
Yep.
All right, guys. You guys have a good night, and we will talk to you again. Well, I don't know when the next clear night's gonna be, but we'll find one, won't we?
We'll get her done.
We will indeed. We will indeed. So I will talk to you guys later. You guys have a good rest of your night, and we will be back. I just don't know when. All right, next clear night. We'll see you guys.